Hello, everybody, and welcome back to podcast.com,
McDonCast,
the number one podcasting website
in town.
On this week's podcast,
the only podcast around. Why do you still not know the intro?
I do.
Last week you just completely forgot about it.
This week, I think we should do a rebrand. I think we're now podcasting.com.
What does that
And I think
mean?
we're going to talk about various recipes.
Recipes for what?
Just food.
Just any food?
Any food that has a recipe, really.
What's a food that doesn't have a recipe?
Like spaghetti.
Spaghetti has a recipe.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Is it a recipe if it requires like less than 2 steps?
What are the 2 steps required to make spaghetti?
Take spaghetti.
Where did you get the spaghetti?
Put spaghetti in water.
Somewhere you had to make the spaghetti.
Oh, I'm not talking about like making the spaghetti raw. I'm talking about like making spaghetti out of store-bought spaghetti.
Okay, who made that spaghetti? Did you
Kirkland?
think they conjured it with dark side force magic?
I'm
No,
sure they went
had
to
to actually make the spaghetti.
I'm sure
at some
they
point.
went to the spaghetti store and bought it from a man.
Who did what? How did
Maybe
he
some
get the
dark
spaghetti?
magic is involved. I've never seen anyone
Yeah,
make
they have
spaghetti.
to make the spaghetti. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the McDonCast, where we now, for some reason, do spaghettis.
Well, it's not like there's anything else to talk about.
Let me give you guys a brief rundown of what we've got going on today. We got trailers. We got the service formerly known as HBO Max, then known as Max, then now formerly known as HBO Max again.
True.
Previously known as many other things.
Yep.
Has news. Big news to say about that. We also have some calendar. The calendar is always moving. Calendar always be moving. Darth Vader is alive. What's up with that? What's going on with Darth Vader?
Weekly Fortnite news.
Weekly Fortnite news returns, and this time,
After more than a week.
this time it's real. And we have new movies
Okay.
to talk about. Let's get into it.
Before that,
Let's get an update
Sam,
on our summer box
we
office.
are 2 weeks into the summer box office game. I have no idea if this is in frame, and I cannot check. But both of us, I believe, have made a crucial mistake in that Final Destination Bloodlines opens to like $50 million, which was like a
That's pretty big.
It was a franchise best. And looking at what both of us have on our list, neither one of us put Final Destination on ours.
Yeah, that would have been a good substitute for Megan, I think.
And now looking at it, that movie is probably going to open bigger than F1, Bad Guys 2, and 28 Years Later.
Yeah, I would put...
And
if I remembered
Megan,
it
Elio,
existed,
and
I would
F1.
have put it at 7, I think.
Well, I believe we talked about it in the show we did where we picked our list. And I think we just thought that these horror movies were like bigger IP right now.
Well, the trailers had more motion.
Yeah, I didn't hear anyone
Yeah.
talking about Final Destination, but I guess it was just like we're all just going to check this out kind of thing.
But see, like, I'm wondering if that won't happen with those horror movies also.
I think if it's likely to happen with either of them, it's more 28 years later. I think the thing with Intrigan, though, is that first movie was driven like primarily by 2 things. One was like TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And 2 was like it came out when nothing else was out.
But I think now, like, it's a name that people recognize, and then also people will just go like, oh, yeah, Megan, I'll go see Megan
Will
now.
people go see that without the TikTok factor?
I think so. I think it'll do the same thing as Bloodlines, where like people are just like, "Oh yeah, I like that. I like that first one."
Yeah, I heard like very few people talking about Bloodlines, and then I went to go see it, and it was like a full theater.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So far, I mean,
Although to be fair, also none of the stuff that we have on our list, except for Thunderbolts, has even come out
so
yet.
far we're 1 for 10,
Yeah.
both of us.
Yeah. So far, just Thunderbolts is on there.
I don't know. You think Clown in a Cornfield will stick around?
I don't. What is that?
That is a film about a clown in a cornfield.
Is that the same as the Lady in the Road or whatever that movie was called?
I don't know what movie you've just invented, but
No. You know the one with the lady in like the morning outfit and she sits by the road?
Oh, Woman in the Yard.
Woman in the Yard. Is that from the same guy who made Woman in the Yard?
No, although
There's Clown in a Cornfield and
Clown
Woman
in a Cornfield,
Yard.
Woman in the Yard.
The new scary thing standing in a spot franchise.
Outside Your House franchise. Yeah, no, none of those. Hurry up tomorrow. I mean, that. A good thing none of us. Yeah.
That's
weekend.
bad that it's under Shadow Force. What is Shadow Force? That's got to be a Chat GPT generated movie.
It's about some people with guns.
Shadow Force.
They go on a shadow quest.
That sounds like you know how like the Daily Wire distributed a bunch of movies before they started making movies, and they were like just like a very generic action movie that like didn't.
Yeah, well they had Die Hard in a school shooting.
Yeah, that sounds to me like a movie like that they would distribute. Where
Shadow
it's like
Force.
just a random movie about like army dudes. And
maybe
then, like, no one sees
maybe The Weeknd should have partnered with them for Hurry Up Tomorrow.
It probably at least would have gotten like some people would have
like
seen
at least
it.
7 people would have seen it.
Like like it
would
have
2.
Like at least a couple
instead of The Weeknd and
instead
his
of just
mom,
no one seeing
we brought
it.
to
Yeah.
the theater. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some trailers. There's a trailer.
We got Task. What's Task?
That's an HBO show. We can skip that. Doesn't matter.
Mark Ruffalo's in it.
He is in it.
He's playing a guy named Mark Buffalo.
It's from the mayor of Easttown. People remember that?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Ironheart got a trailer.
Ooh, people have been
coming in.
I wouldn't say they've been waiting for this, but I think they have been knowing that it exists.
I think they've been waiting for this because they shot it like 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it was supposed to release kind of roundabouts after Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
and just,
I believe it was shot before that movie came out.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, it was, and then they just forgot to release it for like 3 years.
It was one of those things where they realized that just like flooding the zone with Marvel Disney Plus shows was a bad idea. And then they were like, well, we'll wait and we'll hold it till there's like a gap in the schedule. But now they are just like, whatever, we'll just dump it and who cares?
Yeah, like, let's see, when was this?
This trailer
it was filmed in 2022, so it was filmed 3 years ago.
It doesn't look that bad. It looks fine.
None of them ever look that bad, though. Like, which ones have looked awful?
She-Hulk looked iffy.
She-Hulk looked rough, but like that conceptually, that one I think was the worst of
the
all the
second
ones that
and third seasons of What If looked iffy.
Yeah, but those are shows.
Oh,
like those are animated. I'm thinking like
I was just thinking any Marvel shows.
Yeah,
I mean the animated Spider-Man show looks pretty bad, and that
one ended up being all right,
pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, this looks it looks fine.
I think this will be like right about where Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, where it's like okay,
like just like
fine.
Mediocre Marvel movie, but it's 6 hours for some reason.
Yeah, it's just like a really long Marvel movie, which is
they're
like
dropping the first 3 episodes on the 21st of June, and then they're gonna go weekly, so it'll take like 1 month.
For 6 episodes?
For 6 episodes.
That's too many in one time. Do 3.
Apparently, they were considering doing 3 and 3 and just taking 2 weeks, and that's it. But I think they realized that was a bad idea.
Either release the whole thing at once.
I think
or
they
do
should just
3.
binge drop this. They obviously are just trying to bury it.
So this it wrapped filming around when Black Panther came out. So I assume it was intended to come out the year after Black Panther, which would make sense
few months.
Since she is arguably
she was
the main or at least like the second most important character in that movie.
I forgot. Dude, that movie.
It's okay.
It's okay. The stuff where they're like trying to set up 8 different spin-off shows is the worst.
They were doing too much.
And this is one of the spin-off shows they were trying to set up. Because she gets an Ironheart suit in that, and then she's building a new one. I do like how they've decided to make it a different look than just a straight up Iron Man suit, where it's like kind of a tank.
I kind of like it to be because now it's just a War Machine suit.
I'm fine with that. That's better. I would think that's better than just like it's Iron Man again.
Yeah, but War Machine was already like Iron Man.
But
again,
War Machine doesn't really do anything.
Okay, well, neither does Ironheart.
What?
So now we have 2 bulkier knockoff Iron Mans that don't do anything.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think this character's ever going to show up.
She'll be in the fight pile.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be in the fight pile.
I mean, everyone will be in the fight pile.
I mean, they have to have a person who can make their suits.
Yeah, but also like...
But Shuri already makes their suits.
Yeah, Shuri can do that. Shuri's got that role locked down.
She's got suit-making powers.
Yeah, and hers are like indestructible.
Hers are cooler.
Yeah.
She already has a vibranium suit.
No, because I think she gives it back to Wakanda at the end of the movie.
Why?
I forget. I think she's just like...
She just wants to make her
I know,
own.
I think Wakanda...
I mean, that's fine.
I think they were just like, you can't be running around with that. You gotta give it back. She's like, okay.
I guess she'd probably get like immediately assassinated if she had like a giant vibranium suit.
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense.
I don't
actually.
know. But
because like the queen of Wakanda is not going to get assassinated. She's like a head of state. I mean, she might get assassinated. I mean, actually, a lot of Wakandan royalty gets assassinated all the time. But she is more likely to have security than like a random MIT student, I guess.
Shinaka Hodge is the showrunner, who is who's a writer on the Snowpiercer show and the Amazing Stories reboot on Apple Plus.
I don't know what that is.
Not a big name. Their plan, it appears, based on the poster they released, is just to be like, Ryan Coogler put his name on this.
Yeah, he did.
Remember Sinners? That's cool right now. This is like that.
It's just like Sinners.
It's just like Sinners. Anthony Ramos is the Hood in this.
Hood?
Magic Man. Alden Ehrenreich is in this, playing what appears to just be like tech guy, which is lame. And then Sacha Baron Cohen is definitely not Mephisto.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of this Ironheart suit.
Yeah, you don't like it?
I really don't like, because Ironheart had always been like almost like a
I like that it's not nanotech.
Refined. It's nice that it's not nanotech, but her suit, even in the comics, was nanotech. Because she was the first one to have like the slimmed down kind of sleeker Iron Man suit.
And that's what she had in Wakanda Forever, was like the slicker one.
Yeah. But even then it was, because hers was like not form fitting, but it was much more.
Yeah, it was more like ergonomic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is what
it looks a little, I don't know, it just looks clunky.
I just watched the trailers for the Marvel stuff and I'm just like, yep.
Marvel.
I feel obligated to watch it, and I will, and I will.
It's a Marvel thing.
And someone will probably be like, "Hey, is that any good?" And I'll be like, "It's fine," and then they won't watch it, and then everyone will move on with their lives.
Are we doing talking Iron Man hologram?
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. They could not afford Robert Downey Jr. for this. Sam, he had to get paid $100 million to do Avengers. Instead. Well, Jarvis is gone.
Oh, but there was a copy of him on his flash drive.
It would probably be Friday. Friday was his new one after Jarvis. There was
Jennifer
Connelly. You could get Jennifer Connelly.
There was a copy of him on this hard drive.
You could get Jennifer Connelly. I don't. You can't get RDJ and
not for this.
Paul Vision is Paul Bettany now, so whatever.
Maybe
This got a lot of downvotes on YouTube, Sam. What do we think the reasons were for that?
The action figure wall dudes are probably not happy that.
I don't even know why.
It's not even like why don't you make your own character? Because this is an original character.
An original character.
Yes, it is. Like she is very similar to Iron Man, but like.
So is Iron Lad.
So is Iron Lad. So is War Machine. So is Rescue. So is Iron Man's daughter, who is also going to get an Iron Man suit later.
Yeah.
So is Ultron. There's lots of knockoffs.
White
of Iron
Vision.
Man.
Yeah. It's like, who cares, guys? No one's watching this anyway. Let's not even pretend.
Yeah. I would say this is the least consequential of all of the shows.
I mean,
Miss Marvel.
Yeah, it's so inconsequential they sat on it.
Miss Marvel went somewhere. She-Hulk, at least, like the Hulk was in it. And he's like technically one of the main guys.
I think there's a chance that like Rhodey shows up in this, but like he'll be in anything. He was in Secret Invasion. So.
Yeah, and is Rhodey even Rhodey anymore?
I think this would have led. I think this would have led to Armor Wars if that has obviously been canceled. So, yeah,
they might recycle that for Phase 6.
They could still do it. The problem is that Don Cheadle's like 62.
Yeah, he's getting up
like
there.
How old are you going to have?
He doesn't really need to do the action.
He doesn't, but also like if it's a very old man in a big robot suit, and like I get that it's all CG.
I mean, but that makes more sense. Like, okay, if it's like very old,
it's just less believable.
If Hawkeye was super old, right? That wouldn't make a lot of sense. He's just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man's none of his powers come from him. They're all his suit. So, like, if he's old, it's like, all right, well, he wasn't really doing much to begin with.
Yeah, I guess. I don't think they'll ever make that. That's just, like, a very, like...
feasible...
like, marketable thing.
No. Maybe as
you want to watch an Iron Man movie, but Iron Man's not in it?
Yeah, would they just call it Armor Wars? Would they call it the Iron Wars? I don't know.
Yeah.
Iron Wars might be more marketable, just because it sounds kind of like Iron Man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's never getting made. All right. Anyway. Oh, and what do we think of Mephisto? He's going to be in this.
What? Yeah. What?
Why? The thing they're doing with this show is it's she's got technology and she's fighting magic and technology. Magic, so Mephisto will show up.
So okay, so he's the Mandarin now?
Well, no, the Mandarin is
the Mandarin is not a guy.
Well, he was in Shang-Chi.
The Mandarin is not the Mandarin. I'm talking about comic book Mandarin. So that we're just making Mephisto
the version
Mandarin.
of comic book Mandarin they will do was
because the whole thing with the Mandarin in the comics was that he had 10 magic rings that gave him magic powers.
Now there are magic
he would
rings.
Fight Iron Man.
There are 10 alien magic rings that Shang-Chi has.
Yes, but they don't do the same thing. They were in the comics. The 10 rings, each one controlled a different element. So one of them controlled fire, one of them controlled lightning.
They all shot a different version of a laser.
They all shot a different colored laser, right? But they were magic, right? And the whole commentary was Iron Man has this tech suit and he fights this wizard.
He fights
right?
wizard.
So we're just doing that,
but with Mephisto, I guess.
But we just changed the Mandarin. We changed the Mandarin to a third unrelated guy, and then we made this guy the Mandarin.
I don't think she's gonna fight Mephisto. I think it's gonna be like Mephisto's gonna sit in a room.
Also, they've been like sort of teasing Mephisto for like.
I think the only reason he's in this is because of WandaVision, and everyone was like, Mephisto. Remember that, everyone? That thing that happened 4 years ago?
Yeah, because Mephisto is like Doctor Strange's nemesis.
Yeah, and now they're like, because this isn't going to come out. Because the TV shows don't come out in China. So that was the reason they couldn't.
Because you can, but weren't they doing Strange Academy?
That was in development at one point.
Yeah, why didn't Mephisto be that?
Oh, because that's not going to happen. I don't know why he won't just be in Doctor Strange 3, but I don't know what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's many,
or even if that's gonna get made, who even knows about anything?
Many things that would make way more sense for him to be in. Even whatever Scarlet Witch is gonna come back in, that would make more sense.
This is the end of Phase 5.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Avengers was the end of Phase 5.
No, that will be the second film in Phase 6.
We're starting the phase with Avengers.
We are starting the phase with Fantastic Four. So then the next thing after that will be
Thunderbolts is the last movie in Phase 5?
It was the last movie, this is the last show.
Wait, no, that doesn't sound right.
That is correct. I have verified with my sources at the Starbucks across the street from Kevin Feige's office.
Yeah, the final film was Thunderbolts. Okay, weird.
I mean, it did lead directly into Fantastic Four.
I guess that is technically an Avengers movie? According to their marketing
No,
team?
They don't consider that because then it would look bad on the spreadsheet.
Then it's the lowest marketing. Yeah. It's the lowest
grossing Avengers movie.
Avengers movie, but that's so weird. This whole phase has been
this whole 5-year period has been weird for Marvel. Yeah. I don't know. We're not doing let's be real. Like, who cares about any of this stuff anymore?
At least, yeah, like the Infinity Saga at least coherently built towards Thanos.
We're even at the point where
even if we had done Kang, it would not have
several
made sense.
People have asked me if Thunderbolts is good, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then they're just like, all right.
Good to know.
They don't indicate that they'll watch it. They just want to know.
Yeah.
Which to me, it says, should I watch it like half on my phone, half with it in the background?
Should I watch it in the background
in 4 months when it's free on streaming? Like, it's not even like should I go check it out?
I would say it's worth seeing in theaters.
I think it's good.
It's really cool.
I think it's worth your time.
Sentry, I think, is one of the most interesting villains they've done in a while.
But I think it's just incredibly, like, when you get to the point where there's 40-something odd movies,
I would
like,
say
how do you get
Thunderbolts
anyone to care?
is one of the hardest buy-ins. Because not only is it a bunch of characters, but it's a bunch of very minor characters from very unpopular other things.
Yeah, from shows like 3 years
ago.
I mean, Ghost hasn't been in anything in 7 years.
Black Widow was not a popular movie.
Yeah,
Ant-Man and the Wasp people liked, but
didn't make a lot of money.
She was barely in it even. Taskmaster also from Black Widow, and she sucked in both. I mean, she's not bad, but they ruined that.
3 of the characters are from Black Widow. One of them's from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and one of them's from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, which is a show that no one saw.
And then it's just Bucky, but Bucky's just like a background character in other
Bucky's
movies.
barely plays a role.
Yeah, so who cares? Yeah, hard sell. Anyway, big movie, everyone's excited for. Got a new trailer. Superman. In theaters, July 11th, new trailer. What do we think? You watched this one.
I did see this one.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I'm excited. It looks good.
I like Lois.
I like the tension between him and Lois. Her journalistic duty kind of clashing.
She's got it, dude. She's got it down.
Superman's sort of naive optimism.
I'm still waiting to make final conclusion on David Cornsweet. just from this trailer, I'm like, Rachel Brosnahan was a good pick.
I like him.
She's a good Lois.
She's a great Lois Lane.
I can already tell she's a good Lois.
He looks a little bit boxy.
Like physically?
Yeah, like his face is too square.
That's okay.
But like it's fine.
Sometimes
I think he's fine.
Sometimes Superman looks like a thumb.
I haven't seen any. There's nothing that's indicated to me so far that he isn't gonna be a fine Superman.
There was the new in quotes character, the Hammer of Barovia.
Barovia, which is
the big metal
I believe
suit
that is the country that Queen Bee is the dictator of.
Yeah, so
in Young Justice. I don't know what she does outside of Young Justice.
There were rumors that this film would have a Middle Eastern conflict as like part of the plot, which appears to be true from this trailer.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing, everyone. Definite spoilers for Superman. Okay, I haven't seen anything, but I have seen movies before, and I can tell you what's going on.
We can put the pieces together.
So people were on Twitter were having a scuff because there are apparently people who are upset that they've invented a new character for this movie. Here's the thing.
I want more originality in my movies. Oh, the new thing. I don't like it.
He's not a new character.
No, we know that.
I can already tell you what the plot of this movie is. All right.
They wouldn't have encased him in a big metal box if they weren't going to reveal that it was someone else.
So, because we see him shoot heat vision out of his face in the trailer.
Yeah.
So here's the plot of this. Lex Luthor, who is a weapons contractor for the U.S. for various militaries, because that's what Lex
Luthor does. Yeah.
He has created an evil clone of Superman, put him in a big metal suit, called him the Hammer of Barovia, and given him to this foreign country to start a war. And those two countries...
Or at least as part of an ongoing conflict. Yeah.
To instigate a conflict, and then those two countries go to war, and they're both probably, through various shell companies, buying weapons from him so he can make a big profit.
Yeah.
And like have a big influential role.
Superman screws up his bag.
And Superman gets in the way because he's trying to stop the war, and then those two are going to fight. It'll be revealed that the man in the suit is Ultraman, which you've seen from the set photos.
Yes, and also he's in the trailer. Trailer.
Yeah, and then in the third act, Ultraman's mask will get torn off, and it'll be a messed up version of Superman David Cornsweat's face,
and he'll kind of be like,
and it'll be Bizarro, and they won't call him Bizarro because that'll be like the reveal. That is the plot of the movie. Okay, it's not a new character; it's Bizarro in a big mess.
I have seen some theories that it's Supergirl.
I don't know if that'd make a lot of sense.
That could work if she just crashed there. And then they put her in a suit and made her fight.
But why is she fighting Superman?
Because they told her to go fight Superman. And the reason they keep her in a big suit is so she can't fully power up and fight them.
I mean, that's possible. I just think it's like Ultraman's definitely a clone of Superman.
Yeah, or something, or some kind of robot. I could see him being like a
Ultraman in the comics is
just an evil Superman.
Is evil Superman from Earth 3? I think Earth 3.
Yeah.
But they're not doing multiverse.
He's the leader of the Injustice.
Well, I mean, they are doing multiverse stuff apparently in Peacemaker.
But we're not, I think James Gunn wants to keep this movie very accessible.
This is going to come out before, so they're not going to do that in this. So it'll just be a clone.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Bizarro is a fine Superman villain, someone for him to punch.
He's got to have a guy to punch.
Anything else in this trailer? I like the My Eyes Are Up Here thing. That was fun. People are debating about the cinematography because it's the same guy who shot The Flash. And you can tell.
I didn't have a problem with the cinematography of The Flash.
I had problems with the visual effects mostly, so that wasn't
the cinematography was just fine.
And he also shot Guardians 3.
It wasn't anything special. It was it was all right.
That conversation
I don't have any problems with it. Yeah.
Between Superman and Lois.
The Flash movie's terrible.
No, it's bad.
It wasn't because of where the camera was.
But I can't think of really anything else. Luthor looks angry. Apparently it looks like there's a part where he's been captured and is in like a prison with Metamorpho. So I think
but we know that's at the very beginning.
I think that
because he punches out of that prison in the first trailer.
Yeah, I think,
and we know that the first trailer only takes place in like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie.
I think Luthor might be collecting metahumans,
which would make sense because Barovia operates a metahuman trafficking organization.
Yeah, I think he's probably part of that, and that's where the hammer's coming from.
Yeah,
and Metamorpho, I'm guessing he's using him because he has the adaptation power stuff. I'm guessing that's somehow tying.
He might even be using him to make.
He's
more
tying into
metahumans.
His cloning system. Yeah, I can already figure it out. Like, it's not hard. I've seen movie and I've read Superman.
We know enough James Gunn and we know enough Superman and we know enough DC that we know what all the pieces do. It's the very specific details that we aren't aware of.
My concern with this is that is all fine and you can see how that would work. I don't really know what Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific are doing here.
I think that they just are like heroes that were operating before.
We know they're working for Maxwell Lord because they're
Right.
because he's in the Peacemaker trailer and they have all the logos on.
What I assume their role is they are a precursor to the Justice League. Superman kind of shows up out of the blue and starts doing all their job for him, and then they get upset about it. That's what I'm going to assume they're doing.
Okay. Do we think they're going to? It appears Mr. Terrific has
some kind of force field.
Substantial role.
Yeah. I think he's like the sort of leader of.
And also, Crypto is going to have some tie into the plot somehow.
I think he'll be more of a subplot. I don't think he's going to be the main plot.
I think Luthor might need him for like.
Maybe they need him to make. Oh, maybe they need like Kryptonian DNA to finish the clone or whatever.
There's also a part in the trailer where Luthor breaks into the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, and Crypto's like.
So I wonder what he's doing there. And then we saw the engineer who looks like he's just doing. Looks like he's just Lex Luthor's
guy,
like heavy
sidekick guy. He's always got some guy.
It looks like she's doing the Mercy Graves role, where you know how Luthor sometimes has a robot assistant woman.
Yeah,
it looks like she's just doing that part.
She's the cyborg bodyguard. He's always got a cyborg bodyguard.
Yeah. Someone who's punching for him. Whenever he doesn't feel like putting the big metal suit on.
He doesn't always like to wear the big green suit.
Yeah. Sometimes he just likes to stand in a boardroom and look really
and
upset.
let the cyborgs do it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. This is all
standard stuff. Superman stuff.
I'm excited for it. I'm ready.
I'm ready to just see it.
Yeah.
I think people were like, we didn't know what the plot is. We don't know what the plot is. And I'm like, it's fine.
That's because you're not paying attention.
Well, also like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't like really matter that much.
You're either showing up or
it just needs to be good enough. It doesn't really matter what they're doing so long as the writing makes what they're doing compelling. If Superman's main job is to like clean up the Metropolis school district, that can be entertaining if the writing is good and you make that compelling and you make the reasons why he's doing it matter.
So long range tracking, which is very unreliable this far out because we're like 2 months after.
We're a little ways away.
It was like this is gonna land somewhere between like 170, like 150 to 175 opening, which would be
I think around
on the higher end, the highest opening for a DC film.
I could see that though. I
think it will. I think the hype around this is plentiful.
I don't think I've seen hype for a movie like this since. Not even the Batman was this hyped up.
No, and I think. We both have very high expectations for this movie's performance. I think DC will be happy with the Batman level gross.
I think that's their goal,
which was like around like 750 somewhere around there. So if it hits that, I think they're golden. I mean, we don't know what the budget is. I have a feeling like it's going to be probably pretty high, probably higher than it should have been.
Yeah,
but it should be. It'll definitely break even.
It'll
the question
for
is,
sure make even,
and it'll definitely be the highest grossing Superman movie because I think the highest grossing Superman movie is like around 600.
Superman,
or at least straightforward.
Yeah,
because Batman vs Superman made a lot, but do you
that
count that had Batman in it?
Yeah, it's kind of a whatever.
And the Justice League, of course, lost all the money in the world.
Lost every money, all the dollars it could.
All right, there was another trailer for Predator: Killer of Killers, the animated Predator movie coming to Hulu. This is coming up very soon. I think like first week of June.
That's fine. It's cool. I'll check it out.
Animation looks pretty neat.
Sick. I'll watch it.
This is what you've been asking for, Sam.
I wanted to see him fight a samurai. That's all I
And he is going to do it in this. It'll just be a cartoon.
Fine with that.
Gumball. A wonderfully weird world of Gumball got a minute-long teaser.
I'm not sure why the title of the show is different now. The animation also looks substantially, at least more detailed. I don't know that
it looks the same to me.
The backgrounds are more like 3D. The lighting, the compositing is a little more
but we only see like because the joke of the trailer is like the world's dusty and stuff from the show not
because the show's not been going
so that's all we see. So that might just be stuff for the ad. I mean, this could also be the opening of like the first episode of
this is probably the opening of the first episode.
Yeah,
because Gumball's a very self-aware show.
Because it also ended on a cliffhanger. So
yeah.
Who even how are they gonna address that? We don't really know. Yeah, this is coming to Hulu in the US.
Yeah, this is weird.
Exclusively, it'll be on Cartoon Network internationally.
HBO Max has decided no more cartoons ever.
Yeah, so
unless it's Superman or Rick and Morty, then you're allowed.
But even
those
at least air on Adult Swim, like technically.
Which is also weird because My Adventures with Superman
is a children's show.
Definitely a kid's show.
I don't get it.
It's fun. It's a good show, but it is definitely a kid's show.
Yeah. But those are like technically on Adult Swim.
Like, what does that make? Does that make Star Wars: The Clone Wars Adult Swim show? I would argue that's significantly more adult.
I think they would air it on Adult Swim
under this paradigm. Yeah.
So yeah, but this isn't like going to Cartoon Network and then going to Hulu. This is going straight to Hulu. Like this is a Hulu
It's also
exclusive.
on Disney Plus.
Yeah, if you have the bundle, you can watch it on Disney Plus. Interesting. This has been in the works for like 5 years now.
It took them too long.
I don't know why it took so long.
Why did we?
And we still have a date. Oh, this teaser just says this year.
Yeah.
Which means probably like October.
Yeah. What happened? What happened?
I don't know. I don't know why this took forever. There was going to be a movie direct to HBO Max, and then there was going to be a movie and a new season, and then HBO Max like dumped all their animated program and got sold to Discovery, and then it was all up in the air, and then the movie got canceled, and now it's just the new season of the show.
Yeah.
40 new episodes coming
40?
this year. 40 11-minute segments.
Okay.
So like 20
No, that's solid.
episodes.
I'll take that. I thought it was going to be like 10.
Alkayo Thiele and Hero Hunter are the new voices of Gumball and Darwin. This is, I believe,
I did notice they sounded a little different, but I think this is the fourth time. These are like the
voice
Doctor
actors.
Who of kids television shows. Like they recast them every week.
year.
Yeah,
they're always really good.
They're always really solid.
Like really good voice actors for little kids. It's genuinely impressive.
And they always sound like pretty close to the original characters.
Yeah. Anyway, are we looking forward to this show that was for us when we were small children, and now we're not
so
now
hard.
we're adults?
Even now, like there are still jokes. They made a Tiananmen Square massacre joke in one episode. I feel like we don't talk about that enough. And they did it in the episode.
What's to say?
They did that in the episode when they were making fun of the Chinese knockoff of Gumball. And they did that because, like, we'll do a joke that they can't replicate. And then that was the joke that immediately followed it. That's insane. That's an insane thing for a cartoon to do.
They'll go there, bro.
They'll go there. They do not care.
Nope, not at all. Anyway, yeah, looking forward to that. Looks fun. Looks like Gumball. Weird. I don't know. Is it weird to go to Hulu? Warner Brothers is just spreading their stuff.
Because I don't know why their vision with HBO Max has been the most conflicting vision, like on and off, like what they want it to be constantly.
Well, speaking of that, our next news story is about HBO.
Yeah.
So we talked about the TV upfronts last week. There was only one presentation left when we recorded. That was Warner Brothers. They didn't really talk about anything. They're in a real dark spot with their television stuff.
Yeah. Because
they're trying to spin off their networks because they're all dying, all their cable channels.
Yeah.
And the big thing at the upfronts, because the only valuable thing left in television is sports, but they're losing the NBA this year. So all they have left is NHL.
NHL has some motion.
Has some, but like that's no NBA.
They're getting more popular.
They have no NBA and they have no NFL, and those are the two big ones. So they were really kind of desperate, but they were talking about HBO, and they announced, after months of speculation, that Max, the streaming service, will be switching its name this summer back to HBO Max, as it was before March of 2023 when they did the rebrand. Sam.
Yes.
Would you like me to read off the history of the HBO name in regards to their streaming service?
Yeah, go for it.
So, in 2010, they launched an app called HBO Go, which was for people who paid for the HBO cable channel so they could watch episodes of HBO shows on their phone.
Right.
That was in 2010. Then in 2015, they launched HBO Now, which was for people who didn't have cable at all, but still wanted to watch HBO.
Right.
And so that was an app just for HBO stuff. It was the HBO streaming service. And then in 2018, AT&T bought Warner Media and was like, we're going to launch our Netflix competitor streaming service.
Right.
And then in 2019, they announced that would be called HBO Max, which immediately led to confusion because there would now be 3 separate HBO streaming apps.
Different catalogs and different
HBO Go,
functions.
HBO Now, and HBO Max. HBO Max launches in May of 2020. HBO Go and HBO Now are shuttered, and everyone who subscribes to those apps are folded into HBO Max.
Right.
Then, in 2022, Warner Brothers merges with Discovery, and they are like, we're going to create a joint streaming service with both of our content that's going to be a Netflix killer, because it's going to have all of the
big name,
all the high-profile HBO mixed with all of the trash reality that TLC shits out on a daily basis, right?
They're going to corner all the markets.
Okay? That rebrand launches in March of 2023 and was apparently the largest marketing campaign the company ever underwent when they rebranded the service. Okay? They spent the most money ever they've spent on a marketing campaign to let everyone know that HBO Max is now Max because it has so much other random garbage
that we no longer
that
wish
the
to
HBO name is too prestige. It can no longer
We don't
apply.
want to. They literally changed it because they were arguing that it would damage the brand of HBO because of the amount of schlock they had thrown onto the content.
Even though the tagline was Max, the one to watch for HBO.
Yes. Which was then later changed to the one to watch.
Yes, in a genius marketing idea. And then, after like a year and a half of that, they realized that no one was subscribed to Max to watch 1,000 Pound Sisters or Food Network content. They all just wanted to watch The White Lotus and Succession and The Last of Us and, you know, the actual quality television programs they produce, right? So then they start purging the service of all the children's content and a bunch of the reality content, except for investigation discovery stuff, CNN stuff, and some of the TLC shows.
Right.
Like 90 Day Fiancé still does numbers, so that's still on there. But like,
speaking of 90 Day Fiancé,
what's that?
Did you see that the government proposed their own version of the show?
Oh, I have that later. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
But they started purging all that, and they switched the color scheme from blue to the traditional HBO gray. And they have now
sort of a grayish black
gone back to HBO Max.
Are they going back to purple?
They are not going back to purple. They are keeping it gray and black.
Which was the same color scheme as HBO
Which
Go.
is the same color scheme as regular HBO.
And HBO Go.
What's dumbest about this...
HBO Now was pink.
Okay, honestly, stupid rebrand. They should have never switched to Max. Always a stupid decision and a dumb name.
Yeah.
The thinking behind it of we have to preserve the HBO brand.
Also stupid.
Always silly. Because HBO is whatever you tell people HBO is.
Yeah.
Like, Disney kind of had the same thinking until more recently.
Yeah, because
they were like,
Touchstone
Disney
pictures.
is strictly family stuff. We can't put anything on the Disney Plus app that isn't like for everybody.
Even Pirates of the
we
Caribbean,
have to preserve
they
the brand.
originally
We're going to put out
under
Touchstone.
Touchstone Pictures because they didn't want it to damage the Disney
And
brand.
now over the years, they've realized that people are smart enough to where they can distinguish things by looking at them.
Yeah.
And they know that, like, the Disney stuff with Bluey on it is for babies, and they shouldn't show their kids Predator 2.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't that
People have
stupid.
some capacity for understanding what they're looking at.
So the idea that, like, the HBO brand would be irrevocably damaged by being next to Friends
is silly.
Is always silly. To revert to HBO Max... that was always what they should have stayed as. It's not what they're going to end up being because this isn't the last name change.
Yeah.
In probably a year and a half, they're going to just switch the name to just HBO.
Yeah, once the cable channel dies.
Because, like, who's subscribed to just the cable channel?
Grandma who forgot to unsubscribe.
Exactly. It's like probably 10 people.
There's a good chance our grandma who passed away might still be subscribed to
HBO.
There's a chance. It's possible.
I'm also pretty sure that everyone who is subscribed to the HBO cable channel gets HBO Max.
As far as I know, she's the only person we knew who was
included
subscribed to the actual cable channel.
So I don't think there's anyone who is subscribed to just the cable channel. I don't even think that's an option anymore. I think you have to get the streaming service. So the amount of time until they just switch to just being HBO is fine. Also, the name HBO works. HBO stands for Home Box Office. That can work as a cable channel. That can work as a DVD brand.
It doesn't mean anything.
That can work as a streaming service. It doesn't need to be HBO Max. Because what does the Max even mean?
Well, because I think that they thought HBO means boobs and dragons, because that's what it meant for a long time. But that hasn't meant that for almost a decade now.
The other part of this, though, was when they announced the name HBO Max, everyone was like, "Oh, like the cable channel Cinemax." Which Warner Brothers owned and operated and was famous.
And did not want to be associated
and was
with.
famous for airing like basically porn at like 11 p.m. on
People
weeknights.
called it Skinamax because they were
everyone
naked
called
all
it
the time.
Skinamax. So to call it HBO Max, everyone was like, "What about that screams HBO?" But now Teen Titans Go is here.
HBO also had a reputation for being like a little bit more pushing the boundaries of like regular network television.
To be honest, they probably should have never even called the service HBO.
No, it should have had a different name.
It shouldn't have been called Max or HBO. It should have just been called like Warner Plus. Because the Warner Brothers name doesn't have any inherent like things associated with it.
At this point, people understand brand plus. This is the streaming service for brand. Yeah.
Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, Apple Plus, Peacock. I don't know what they're doing over there.
Peacock Plus.
No, it's Peacock Premium. Yeah. It's either premium. Your options are premium or plus.
You can peek at the premium.
Anyway, it's all stupid. I get it. This is better than just being named Max because no one... If you told someone to watch a show that's on Max, like you just sound like an idiot. Like who's listening?
No one said that.
No one was saying.
I genuinely think
everyone just kept calling it HBO
Everyone
Max.
gave it the Twitter treatment where everyone was like, "Okay,
I ain't calling it X.com."
Sure.
Yeah,
it's different. Okay.
But anyway, other HBO news: A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Game of Thrones prequel. It's been delayed to next year.
Why? They were happy with the show.
It's been shot for
George
a year.
R. Martin was like, yeah, show is good.
Been filmed.
The fans were like, oh, good, we'll have content this year because House of the Dragon is taking way too long to make.
Turns out everything takes forever.
Oh, you know what? Are we pushing back House of the Dragon as well and then just using this to fill in the gap? Is that why? That might actually be.
That's possible.
That makes more sense to me.
A 3-year gap for a new 8-episode season of House of the Dragon is frankly absurd.
Oh, it is, but like I feel like you can use this to kind of band-aid that a little bit.
Well,
be like here's a something.
I thought the thing was like, well, we'll do this year and then House of the Dragon next year.
That's what I was
thinking.
And
we'll alternate because this is supposed to have like 3 or 4 seasons.
No, this is just a 1-season thing.
No, they've said they're going to do several seasons of it.
I thought this was a 1-season spin-off little mini thing.
No, they want to do several. It's only 6 episodes, the first season, which is even more ridiculous because why is it taking you 3 years to make 6 episodes of television?
Yeah.
And this one is supposed to be the cheaper version. This is supposed to be like the cheap Game of Thrones.
This is the smallest one, yeah.
This is supposed to be the one that doesn't have big CG dragons and is just people walking around.
Yeah, it's planning to have a 3-season run. Okay.
Yeah. So why is this taking forever?
Why does it take forever to make every single show?
I don't understand it. Literally everything, including like sitcoms.
They used to make a season of Game of Thrones every year.
Every year, 10 episodes. And now they're just like, guys, 8 episodes of House of the Dragon. It takes 3 years, guys. You got to give us a break.
And they're using the same locations, the same sets,
same actors.
Some of the actors are all different, but they've always had a lot of actors in the show.
Game of Thrones had like 18 different locations.
Yeah.
With 12 different main characters being followed every episode.
Like, genuinely, why? What happened?
Yeah, I don't understand it. And like the battle sequence, the scale of Game of Thrones was so much larger than the shows.
House of the Dragon, arguably, barely anything's even happened so far.
But it's not even just this. Like Mythic Quest on Apple, the sitcom, the
takes
workplace
forever.
sitcom with 10 episodes took 2.5 years.
That should have taken a year to make a 22-episode season.
Yeah. Abbott Elementary's still doing that.
And it's good. And the production quality-wise is maybe slightly lower.
But it's
it's like
it's just because it's a mockumentary.
Yeah, it's not like a detrimentally lower amount.
Always Sunny takes 2 years between 8-episode half-hour seasons.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. Poker Face took 2 years.
Now, I give It's Always Sunny a little bit of leeway because those guys don't have to make the show anymore.
And they're all doing a million other things.
And they're all very like that would make a little bit more sense to me.
But what are the people who make The Paper doing?
No, I don't even. What even is that?
The Office.
Yeah, I know what it is, but like, what are we doing? What is that?
It makes no sense. TV is so ridiculous now.
Paper.
The only show I've seen
paper?
recently to take forever between seasons, and I was like, I understand why this takes so long, is the new season of The Rehearsal, because the amount of stuff he does in that,
I still have to watch
and the
that.
obvious amount of time it took to coordinate everything. I'm like, yeah, okay, that would take a year. That would take a year to put together from conception to completion. Everything else, it's like, yeah, we made 10 episodes of a normal hour-long drama, and it took 8 years.
Even Last of Us.
Yeah.
Most of that show is 2 people walking around in a field.
Sorry, 2 years. It cost $800 billion.
You know, you did not have to painstakingly recreate all of whatever Seattle to the leaf. You already did. You could have just used the game assets, honestly, probably just
should have just kept all those Salt Lake City sets up and just said it was Seattle, and no one would have noticed.
Yeah,
every city in The Last of Us looks the same
because they're all like rubble.
They're all just rubble covered in grass.
Yeah,
no one would be able to tell the difference. Also, everyone knows you didn't actually film in Seattle. It's all Vancouver.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So much is why.
David Zaslav said that the core pillars of the new DCU will be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Supergirl.
Okay.
And then James...
That's not true, but okay.
You think that's not true?
Obviously it's not true. You want to know how I know it's not true?
Who are the core pillars?
Well, let's pull up the slate.
Oh, God.
Pull up... Where's the list?
Oh, no.
Give me the list. Which episode did we do the list?
Well, okay. The only ones coming out are Superman, Supergirl, and Clayface.
Yeah, so...
So you're saying Clayface is the new pillar of the DCU?
They said it, not me. They're the ones making a Clayface movie before they make a Wonder Woman movie.
The script was so good. They had to do it.
You didn't have to do it.
No, they didn't.
And if you did, it should have been a B-plot in a Batman movie.
Batman might be in it. Unknown, unconfirmed.
If he is in it, he should be in the title. And he should be the main character, and
he
Clayface
would pop
should be
up in a cameo.
That's stupid. You want to know
like John Wick in the ballerina film.
Well, at least they actually fight in that one. Here's what I'm thinking.
Batman might show up and throw a punch.
He will show up. He will be in it as much as he was in Suicide Squad.
Or Creature Commandos.
Which is where he shows up in like one scene for 2 seconds, throws
like,
one batarang and goes away.
It's me, Batman. Remember me? Bye.
He didn't even say anything. He just was like, boom.
Oh, yeah. I will say these are an improvement over who they said the core pillars of DC were, which was Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Harley Quinn.
I don't even disagree with that, though. As like, that is a more honest. You would think, but like Harley Quinn, they keep trying to like really capitalize on that character. I think she's kind of burnt out,
and it's really never been financially.
I think
rewarding.
She's definitely burnt out now, but at the time, she was the only character that made any money.
She was really, really big in 2016.
She was big in Suicide Squad.
When Suicide Squad came out, because it was Margot Robbie wandering around in clown makeup in her underwear.
Yes.
So obviously that was going to be popular.
Yeah, but that's like...
And then they made Birds of Prey,
yeah.
And no one cared. And then they made The Suicide Squad, and no one saw that movie.
But people liked that one.
They liked it, but no one saw it. And then,
but again, that's more of a marketing issue because they shouldn't have called it that.
And then
if they called it something else, it would have made more money.
That Harley Quinn animated show, which is apparently fine. And then they made Joker 2, and she was in that, and that lost every dollar that has ever been made by Warner Brothers.
But that wasn't real. That wasn't real Harley Quinn.
But she was on the poster, and she was wearing makeup.
True.
It was as much a Harley Quinn thing as it was a Joker thing.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
I forget that. We all just ignored that movie.
I was just like, okay, yep, mm-hmm.
It's kind of wild because people were talking about Joker 2019 for like a year and a half.
You know that meme of those guys having a conversation and then the other guy like
just
yells
gives
something
a thumbs
and they
up.
go,
yeah.
And that was like me and my friends were talking about, we'll say Star Wars. DC goes, we made Joker 2 Filet-A-Do. I go, and keep talking.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was just wild to me because, like, Joker, everyone was talking about the movie for a year, and then Joker 2, and everyone was just like, eh.
It didn't need a sequel.
It was the ultimate. This was a one-time
It was the most
thing.
unnecessary sequel
It would be
ever made. Maybe.
I think the closest recent example of what it would be like is if they made a sequel to Oppenheimer now.
Yeah.
Like, no one would care.
Like, what does he do after?
Like,
he did his thing.
We saw it. Everyone was there. We talked about it. It won all the awards, and then we all went home.
Making a second bomb?
Yeah.
Like, what is the story here?
It would be like if they made Oppenheimer 2 and it cost 3 times as much money.
Yeah. And like, nothing happened.
They introduced, I don't know, Richard Nixon as the supporting character.
I guess you could do the Cold War?
Oppenheimer.
Was Oppenheimer doing anything during the Cold War?
I'm just picturing, like, you know, when they do Marvel at Comic-Con and there's like the PowerPoint slide of all the release dates and the big timeline. I'm just picturing that for the Oppenheimer universe, and it's like Oppenheimer.
He
War.
He served as an advisor to the Atomic Energy Commission.
Wow, let's get 3 hours of that.
And then he later became the director of the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton. Now, this is from
That's all in the movie.
This is from the Google AI thing, so I don't know how accurate that is, but according to that,
But they cover all that in the movie.
he goes to Princeton. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, after the bomb stuff. Yeah,
So what would he even do in Oppenheimer?
he dies.
We haven't done his death.
And his kid, does he have a kid?
Yes.
His kid makes another bomb.
Yeah, we just veer off of history. We just start making
We
stuff
did do a
up.
fan fiction.
Yeah.
Aliens invade, his son has to make a new bomb.
Anyway, let's talk about some release date changes. The untitled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel, full name, has been delayed till September 17th, 2027. The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, which is the theatrical
official
Avatar
title
sequel film, has moved into its old spot on October 9th, 2026.
I do like the new title more.
You should have just called it The Legend of Aang.
Yes. Absolutely yes.
Or Avatar, The Legend of Aang.
Yeah, also better.
I don't know why it's called this.
I don't know why they added The Last Airbender part. I think it might be because of James Cameron.
No.
Because you can't say Avatar, The Legend of Aang. Because then people
Like,
might
you think
be
he would
confused.
get, like, you think he would, like, file
I don't
a
think he would
lawsuit?
care. I think normies would be
Do
confused.
you think James Cameron knows that there is a cartoon show named Avatar?
I think he has to know since he copied the whole thing.
But Avatar, the cartoon show was like a year before the movie came out. When did the cartoon come out?
The cartoon came out in 2000s.
Okay, so it's been like 3 years before.
Around the same. Yeah,
But James Cameron.
It was before Clone Wars because that was 2008.
But
yeah.
James Cameron also came up with the idea for Avatar in like the 80s.
Yes, but that was the first. The first movie is the least to do with the cartoon. Everything.
Oh, you're talking about how all the other ones are just like elemental
are
tribes.
straight up from the cartoon.
But like, there's no
The
way
Fire
he watched
Nation
the cartoon.
And the Fire Nation is the bad one that wants to destroy everyone. There's the Air Nomads, and even in his movie, they're a nomadic tribe that flies around on big boats.
Yeah, but like,
And the Water Tribe is the Water Tribe.
he does have a writer's room for
They go
the new
Water
ones.
Tribe.
He had a writer's room for the other 4.
Yeah,
Maybe
and,
they
like,
probably
they
saw
probably
it.
have seen.
I cannot see James Cameron watching literally any television programs. I don't
he's
think
too
he
busy in a
does.
submarine.
Well, he talks about how he doesn't like movies
Well, then maybe he does watch
because
more
his like
TV shows.
dreams are better than movies and TV.
That's
So
really stupid. That's
Well,
really dumb.
dude, he's like Hollywood's biggest narcissist. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Again, though, he has kind of earned it
no, he absolutely has.
because he's made all the movies that have made the most money. He made them.
There is no filmmaker in Hollywood who has just somehow tapped into knowing exactly what the audience wants
More than him.
more than him. Like he
Yeah.
just knows, and he has since 1984. Like he's just clued in. But yeah, no, I doubt he's actually seen that cartoon show. Anyway, that's like 4 years between Ninja Turtles movies.
Maybe it's one of those collective unconscious things where it's like humanity as a whole collectively understands that is the story of the Avatar.
like a Scientology thing, where it's like all distant memories from when we were aliens being sent to Earth or whatever.
Sort of. Collective unconscious has a little bit more basis in like things that have actually happened. Like where
Well, I don't know if you've read Dianetics, but
There was, like,
Elrond has a pretty convincing
there
case.
was like a group of monkeys in like South Africa that like started like making tools out of stuff, and then like almost exactly around that same time, a different tribe of unrelated like primates in another country also started doing the same thing. So like sometimes things just happen at the same time.
So you think
One of that kind of thing.
part of the natural course of human evolution is
we make a story called
creating
Avatar.
some version of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yeah, I think that's just something that's got to happen. I don't know why. I mean, it's a good story.
Yeah. Yeah, Ninja Turtles, that's taking a while, but it's also a cartoon. And the animation's really good.
I don't think we need to have an entire generational gap in between every single installment of a thing. That's really stupid.
I can understand why it's because it's animated.
Yeah, I get it. The animation was fantastic. Great. But also, then maybe pick a different animation style if you know that this is supposed to be a franchise.
Everything just takes forever now, man. I mean, they got that cartoon show going. It's like a insane
Yeah, the
universe.
2D one.
So there's stuff coming out. It's not completely barren.
Ninja Turtles won't die.
I liked Mutant Mayhem a lot.
It was really good.
I really did.
I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, I had some issues with it, but like nothing major.
No, it was fun.
It was a good movie.
It was better than every other Ninja Turtles movie they've ever made.
Yeah,
Like,
so by like a pretty substantial margin. It's
like
not
what's
really
it competing with? The first one from the 90s?
the third one.
Oh, Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
The one where they cut
Or the musical Christmas play.
Oh, yeah. What was
where
that
they
one
sing
called?
about how they want to bang April. That's a real part of that.
My favorite part of Turtles in Time is that the budget got cut like drastically.
And they all look way worse.
And they all look way worse. They weren't allowed to use their weapons because parents got upset. So they were all just like whacking people with sausages and stuff.
That's great. All right.
All right. Darth Vader Fortnite AI.
Okay. I have a bit of
Let's
a hot
talk
take.
about weekly Fortnite news.
I think I have a hot take here.
What's your hot take?
I think it's fine.
Well, you want to explain what happened?
So,
to the
yeah.
two people who don't know.
Let me explain. So you guys, there's this little game, little indie project, came out in like 2016, I think, called Fortnite. It was an indie kind of
Smash
zombie survival game. The game wasn't really making any money, so they thought it would be prudent to knock off PUBG and make that a separate game mode. And they actually did it way better than PUBG, and everyone liked it way more. And it became way bigger than PUBG, and then PUBG died. And then they collabed with Thanos, and Thanos made their game explode even more. And then they were like, well, who else can we collab with? And apparently the answer was literally everyone. And so over time, the game has consumed and eaten all of pop culture and become the most dominant media force probably on the internet. Since then, they're doing a Star Wars season currently as a celebration of May the 4th. It was also tied in with Andor and Star Wars Celebration. There's been kind of a big Star Wars wave going on this last couple of months, especially with the re-release of Revenge of the Sith.
And they've done a Marvel season in the past.
And they've done a couple Marvel seasons. They've done other Star Wars collabs as well. This one's just the most robust. But as a part of that collab, they added Darth Vader to the map.
Correct.
Who you can fight as a boss. And if you defeat him, you can recruit him to your squad. And if you hold down one of the keys on the keyboard, I'm not sure which one, you can actually talk to him. And it is powered by some chat API, either Google Gemini or ChatGPT, I'm not sure which one. And it will respond to you as Darth Vader in the voice of Darth Vader, as per the agreement James Earl Jones made with the Disney Corporation.
They've AI generated
for his
James Earl
passing.
Jones' voice into the game.
Yes.
And he responds to real statements.
Anything you ask him, he'll respond. And actually, there's some parts of this that are kind of cool. If you're mean to him or if you say something you know Darth Vader wouldn't like, he will actually leave your squad and try to kill you. Like if you talk about Padme, he tries to kill you.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool.
That is cool. That is cool.
And if you call him Anakin too many times, he tries to kill you.
Okay. Here's the thing with this guy. One, everyone is just memeing with it because obviously
this is a huge meme. This isn't really a serious thing.
And honestly, Disney knows that was going to happen. You don't launch this and not expect people to like.
They also added
try to get him to swear. Like obviously,
a week before they added the Darth Vader AI, they added Darth Jar Jar to the game. Like they are fully aware that it's going to be memed.
Yeah, but so the main complaint with AI in like video game voice acting is that you're taking jobs away from voice actors.
Right.
And I understand that. And in most cases that would be true. Because if it's just an NPC with, 40 lines of prompted dialogue in the game that doesn't change and stays the same on every playthrough, then yes, you should hire a voice actor to do that.
Obviously, that's not a controversial.
If we're gonna have it be that we have specific NPCs in games, that are generating responses to the player, like that are going to be different every single time in real time, I am kind of like,
all right,
this is because you can't do that with a voice actor.
No, it's just not.
It's not physically possible.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the question is like, does this become the predominant form of voicing video game characters?
Yeah.
And I don't think it will, because in this specific game, like in Fortnite, you're only going to have a couple of NPCs that are like this. Every NPC in the game can't be like this, and there's no reason for them to be that way.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about like another like story-based game, right?
I don't think you could
like
do
for
that.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, that
you could
work.
conceivably have them all work like that, but
it would just suck.
That would suck, and why would you do that? So I'm okay to let this slide. It's just kind of a funny meme.
I don't like the doors that it opens.
Not completely.
I don't like that it has opened the door to the precedent for doing that. But in this specific instance, I also don't really have any issues with
version of the technology where it is responding real time. I'm fine with,
and with the actor having given explicit consent,
or his family, because he's dead.
Well, he explicitly said, "I want to be able to continue voicing Darth Vader."
I don't know
after my death. If you have to do it this way, that's fine.
With the reaction to this, I guess a lot of people don't know that in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show,
Darth Vader was an AI.
That was AI. All of the Darth Vader speaking in that was James Earl Jones's voice recreated with an AI. He didn't record any of that.
Yes.
So this is not the first time this has happened, specifically with Darth Vader. My concern here is, and in that show, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of them doing that in that show.
No, and it was off. It wasn't right in the show.
Because it was off, and I think you could have very well just found someone to do a Darth Vader impression, and it would have been fine. But for this, it's like I'm willing to let it pass. If they just start...
He gave him permission, and there's no other way to do that.
Yeah, if NPCs in Horizon 3 or whatever start being voiced by AI, which PlayStation was testing, and we know they were testing that.
Yeah, because the voice actor for Alloy was quite upset.
Even if it's not responding, it's just in the game, everyone's an AI voiced character.
That would suck.
That would suck, and I would not be a fan of that. And I also think that would make games objectively worse.
But this is also not the first NPC character that has been voice acted by AI either. The first NPC voice acted character in a major video game, at least, was the robot sidekick in Starfield.
Really?
Yeah. And to be fair,
I didn't know anyone played Starfield.
Number one, it was a robot, so he had like a robot voice, right? And in addition, the AI voice software was only used so that he could respond to the player's inputted name, which I think was actually a pretty smart way to use it. This is quite a bit more extensive, obviously. I would say the main ethical concern with this would be the amount of power that this is certainly using.
Oh, for sure.
Every AI query, I think, uses the power of like roughly 10 Google searches, and that was like when ChatGPT 3 came out. I'm sure it's more now.
Yeah,
these models have only
these things
larger.
They're horrible for the environment. They eat up an insane amount of energy.
So for every time you ask Darth Vader like what his favorite Pokemon is, which, by the way, he said was Zubat.
Yeah, you're lighting part of the Amazon rainforest.
You are burning down like a village somewhere. So, that's not great.
Yeah. But that is just how AI works.
But as far as like the institutional issues with this, with this specific version of it, I don't really
this is obviously a test.
That's the part I don't like. This is a test. They are dipping their toe in the water.
They would obviously like to.
And I don't like that they're dipping their toe in the water. But also, like right now, there's not really anything wrong with them going in this pool.
Yeah.
This pool is safe to swim in, but they're only swimming in this pool so that they can swim in the illegal pool in a minute.
I'm hoping at least James Earl Jones' family is collecting a fat check. I hope Disney's sending them just a bunch of royalties. That's all I want. But yeah, no. I mean, on one level, I'm always very weary of AI being used to do anything, but there is at least a small part of me who's like, that's pretty cool.
If we have to use it, if we're going to use it in some way, I think this is the best way to do it. They have explicit permission, not only from James Earl Jones, who agreed to do it, but before he died, but his family as well. It's being used in a novel way that could not be done by a traditional voice actor, at least not in any way that made any kind of practical sense at all, unless you have like hundreds of thousands of Star Wars voice impressionists all connecting to every single player's lobby all the time. That's not really something you can do. Then I think this is okay.
What have you thought of this Fortnite Star Wars season as a whole?
It's been pretty cool. I like that they replaced every gun with a Star Wars blaster. I think that makes it a lot more...
I played it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want a few more guns.
But see, that's the genius of it. You can play OG Fortnite, and they still have all the regular Fortnite guns in there.
But I want more different Star Wars.
I do
Give me a bowcaster.
It's in the game now.
It
they're
is?
adding more. They're adding more every week. They're adding new stuff from each era of Star Wars.
Okay.
So they added the bowcaster last week.
Give me some
I
battle
think next
droid
week
guns.
they're adding the Mandalorian's rifle and Jango Fett's pistols.
All right. Give me a
and then I
jetpack.
believe in the last week, they haven't said this explicitly, but this was leaked pretty heavily. You know how they did the Godzilla season where you could control Godzilla and like wreck a city?
Is it like that, but an AT-AT?
No, it's that, but it's a Star Destroyer, and you get to orbitally bombard part of the map.
That's fun.
Which is
I do think there
fun.
needs to be more spaceships. There's only like 2.
I don't have a problem with the spaceship selection. I have a problem with their speed.
No, I want there to be
Why
more
are
on
they
the map.
so cripplingly slow?
Oh, because they
The
need...
X-Wing is like the same speed as a car.
Yeah.
Make it faster.
I think there just
That's
needs to be
sick.
more spaceships on the map.
I think the Millennium Falcon should be drivable.
I want to have some space fights.
I think the Millennium Falcon will be drivable. I think they're saving that for like the last week or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, I would have liked
Give me a Razor Crest.
like a U-wing.
Ooh,
or
that would be fun. A Y-wing.
Or a Y-wing, and you can bomb a city.
Give me one of those. I mean, they're droids. I guess you get
Maybe a TIE Interceptor.
different
Or
types
Darth
of TIE
Vader's TIE Fighter.
fighters.
I think Darth Vader's TIE Fighter has been
in the
pilotable
game before.
Yeah.
Or at least, no, it might have been Kylo Ren's.
Poe Dameron's X-Wing, maybe it's a faster one or something.
Yeah, it's got an extra gun. I don't know.
There's things we can
Think
do.
of something, Fortnite people. You got $1 billion.
They had a bunch of them in Disney Infinity. I'm sure we can copy
Yeah,
that
that's
over.
basically the same game.
Yeah, I'm at this point. Yeah,
pretty
kind of
much.
is.
Mr. Incredible's in both.
He is.
Anyway, Sam, let's talk about some movies. Movies were announced this week.
What movies were
Do you
announced?
care about any of these?
Maybe.
They're making a sequel to Spring Breakers.
I don't know what that is.
Spring Breakers 2, Salvation Mountain.
Okay.
I hate the movie Spring Breakers.
I don't know what that is.
You ever seen that?
No, why would I have
It's
seen
James Franco.
that? Okay.
It's Vanessa Hudgens. It's
Okay.
Selena Gomez. And it's 2 other women who I can't remember at the moment.
I don't know. What's the...
It is...
Why is that a problem?
It is 4 college girls in Miami.
Eh.
And they just kind of do a lot of cocaine. And just kind of dance around with no clothes on. That's the whole movie. It's really bad.
Yeah, that sounds really stupid.
It's awful. There's a lot of people who think it's good.
It sounds like 21
because
Jump
it's-
Street, but without the plot.
Kinda. A lot of people think it's good because they like the cinematography, but the cinematography is just like neon lights at nighttime.
That's
and
good cinematography.
A lot of slow-mo shots of girls' butts.
That's good. That's how you know it.
And
has
there's
good
like very
cinematography,
little
is when they
narrative
do
and
those
it's
2
very
things.
vague and like hallucinatory. Like it's supposed to be like, it's like very dreamlike.
What's happening?
So a lot of people think it's smarter than it is. I'm 99% sure it was a guy going, I can pretend I'm making real art when in reality I'm
It's the
filming
idol.
Vanessa Hudgens' butt.
It's the idol again. It's where they do. Oh, it's nighttime and there's lights and naked girls, but it's maybe it's saying something more, but it
prestige.
isn't. It isn't.
Okay. A deal. The directors of Bad Boys for Life and Bad Boys Ride or Die are directing a Riders Republic film adaptation.
What is that?
That's the motorcycle video game. Remember that? I think it's an Xbox thing.
Nope. Is that the one with Jack Black?
I mean, every video game movie is contractually obligated to include him.
No, but there is a motorcycle game where Jack Black is on a motorcycle and he fights
Riders Republic is a Ubisoft game from
fights
2021.
people with an electric guitar.
It is not a game that includes Jack Black. I just want to
So then
clarify.
I'm thinking of what game am I thinking of?
Are you thinking of the Pick of Destiny, the Tenacious D game?
Maybe. No, I'm thinking of Brutal Legend.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Pick of Destiny was the movie. Brutal Legend was the Jack Black.
2009 action adventure comedy and fantasy.
Ubisoft, Gamma and Ubisoft producing the film. No distributor yet. They're looking for a buyer.
Interesting.
Okay, because there's another news story. David Leitch of Fall Guy and Bullet Train and
right
is in talks to direct the Gears of War movie for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Very obvious that these studios are stocking up on video game IP. Like, that's obviously the gold rush right now. It's kind of happening a little bit under the radar, but you can tell
they're amassing their army.
Comic book movies on the decline. Minecraft, Mario, real big. Last of Us, but still
people like it.
Like, have attention. It's garnering attention. You can see they're racing to collect the video game IP.
The Game Wars have.
This is the new thing. This is the next big, or at least they're going to try to test if it's the next big trend in Hollywood is video game movies.
What about what if you make a video game of a movie and then make that video game?
Oh, like Tron?
Based on a video game that was real?
Oh, are you talking about? I thought you were saying make a video game in a movie and then make the video game real and then make a movie out of the video game.
Make a movie.
Right.
Make a video game of that movie.
Yep.
And then make a movie of that video game.
Yeah, that's Tron.
It didn't. No, it isn't.
There's a video game version of Tron you could play.
Yes, but the movie they made after that had nothing to do with that video game.
No, but they made Tron the movie, and then they made a video game out of Tron.
Yes, then I'm saying
and then
directly adapt that video game.
They made Tron Legacy after the game.
Movie. No, that movie has nothing to do with the Tron video game.
You're saying directly readapt the video game adaptation of the movie into a movie.
Yes.
So you've made the same movie again.
So, like, if you were to make...
No, I'm
trying to think of video game. Okay, you know the Lion King SNES game?
Yes.
Adapt that into a movie.
Would that not just be the movie The Lion King?
No, because in the movie The Lion King, he doesn't jump around and like hit random enemies.
So you'd like that to take a real movie, adapt it into a video game with slight differences, and then have the slight differences then be readapted into a movie that's basically identical, but including the slight differences.
I mean, that makes more sense than a live-action remake.
It does?
Yeah.
What version does that make sense at all?
Because there's at least different elements that you're adding from the game, I would imagine.
The Passion of the Christ sequel is officially titled The Passion of the Resurrection of the Christ.
That makes sense.
Lionsgate is producing. It's going to come out next year, maybe the year after that.
All right.
You hyped for more Christ? He's back.
That is he's known for doing that.
He's known for doing that.
I would say out of all the things he did, that's the thing he's most known for.
Do you think it'll be as big? The original one was huge.
I think
when it came out.
I think it'll probably be as big.
You think?
Yeah.
Gibson, not as popular.
I would say the climate under which it's releasing has primed it to blow up in ways.
There is definitely a very specific audience who are going to champion this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, regardless of the content, they will
quality.
Ride the movie.
They will.
Well, I don't know if the movie's like super blasphemous, then maybe not. But given how like faithful to the source material, given how like intentionally, like almost prolifically close they clung to the biblical story in the first one, I don't see that being an issue.
Because the thing is, and Mel Gibson has been working on this for years.
Now,
he's
there
been
is
forever. He's been talking about
source material to go off of here.
Well, he's been talking about how he wants it to include like Jesus actually in hell.
Yeah,
like,
fighting the devil.
Fighting demons, and the devil would maybe be in it.
Which I believe in Passion of the Christ, we do see the devil get defeated in the movie.
I don't remember where it
cuts
ends.
to him for like a few seconds, and the devil's like, ah!
So I don't know if this movie would just be just the day when Jesus comes back and he and the apostles are like, is it really you, Lord? And he's like, touch my hands. Like, if it's just that stuff. I don't know if it's just going to be an hour and a half of that, or if he is going to include the kind of odd, weirder stuff he's been talking about for a very long time.
All right, so the Passion of the Christ ends with a brief depiction of Jesus' resurrection where he leaves the tomb with visible wounds. So,
okay, presumably
the film follows the final 12 hours of his life and briefly shows the resurrection. Yeah,
okay,
so he did come back in Passion of the Christ.
I'm assuming we will flesh that out more.
Yeah, I guess we're just doing the like stuff in the 3 days. This is the 3 days.
Let's see. Mel Gibson said that at least one of the versions of the script is like an acid trip.
Okay, that doesn't sound like we're doing that one.
He wants everybody to come back from the original one.
I think the guy who played Jesus agreed to come back.
Caviezel would definitely do it. But the only thing it's just been, this would have to take place literally the next day, and it's been 20 years since that movie came out.
People won't remember.
But also he's talked about digitally de-aging Jim Caviezel to play Jesus. I don't know. This whole thing is odd. I'm really interested to see what it is, because if it is an acid trip Jesus in Hell movie,
that would be insane.
I would very much like to see what that is.
Thing ever made. But Mel Gibson is kind of insane.
Oh, so, very much so. He's not a mentally well man.
Yeah, I could see him making a version of this that is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it'll be interesting if nothing else. Anyway, I just think that's just fascinating. Okay, something not fascinating and very lame, and why are we doing it? Jamari Highlander, who directed the movie Sisu. I don't remember if you remember that movie years ago. It was that movie about it was like John Wick, but he was an old gold miner in like World War I.
Yeah, and he fought Nazis, right?
Yeah, he signed on to write a Rambo prequel titled John Rambo. That'll be the origin story of the character in the Vietnam War. Sly Stallone is aware that it is being made, although he is not involved in any capacity at the moment. Does anyone care? Does anyone want this?
Fine with it.
I don't think the last one even made any money.
Yeah, but it came out during COVID.
No, it didn't.
Rambo Last Blood? I thought it did.
It came out like a year before. Did he die in the last one? I don't.
He was like defending his house from like government.
It was
agents.
Home Alone, but with Rambo.
It was Home Alone, but with machine guns.
And apparently it was vaguely
I've
racist.
seen it. I saw
you have?
It. I think Papa watched it on cable one day, and I was like, I watched it also.
Okay.
It was fine.
Let me see if
it's
he
just
dies.
Rambo fighting guys the whole movie.
Nope. He is still alive.
Yeah, I guess that'd be kind of like Top Gun dying.
Yeah, no, but
his name isn't Top Gun, but you know what I'm talking about.
It came out in September 2019. It made $91 million off of a $50 million budget. So it did not probably make any money. Maybe it did down the line on video on demand and stuff. So this franchise name scheme. So this new prequel is called John Rambo. The original movie is First Blood.
Yes.
Then it's First Blood Part 2. Okay. No. The second one is called Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
The first one's called that?
The first one is called First Blood.
Right.
The second one is Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Okay.
The third one is Rambo 3.
Okay.
The fourth one is just called Rambo.
Okay.
And then the fifth one is Rambo: Last Blood, and the prequel will be named John Rambo.
That actually makes a little bit of sense.
It's like working in reverse.
I actually don't have any issues with that naming scheme.
Really? You think that was smart?
Well, John Rambo, right? That's just his name.
Uh-huh.
And that's his whole name.
And obviously they're aping off of the sixth Rocky movie was named Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, so like it's different.
Yeah.
Right? Then there's First Blood. That's his First Blood. It's the one that he starts in. First Blood Part 2, that one's kind of redundant. That one's a little stupid. But it clearly delineates the order in which you're meant to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
In Rambo 3.
Right, third Rambo.
No issue with that.
The
fourth one's just being Rambo, kind of dumb. Yeah. But also, none of the other ones are named that.
That is true.
So it's still different.
There's Rambo and Rambo 3, but there is no Rambo 2. There's Rambo First Blood Part 2.
In Rambo Last Blood, okay, we're kind of doing a full circle thing. And again, it clearly...
The only thing left to do, apparently, is John Rambo.
Yeah, it makes way more sense than the Fast and Furious naming scheme.
What is this movie even going to be?
It's a Vietnam War movie with Rambo.
It's just Vietnam, and then a man gets traumatized.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, basically.
But there's nothing about that that makes it a Rambo movie.
Well, Rambo's there.
But he's just a soldier in Vietnam.
Yeah, but he's there though.
At this point, he's just there.
It'll tie in with
Well,
It'll tie in with
all of
something.
his Vietnam buddies from the first one will be mentioned. His general guy from the first one will be in it. And I'm sure it'll be about some traumatic thing that made him go crazy in First Blood.
Yeah,
He'll get his signature jacket from First Blood.
He'll have his headband
and his
on.
signature headband
and his knife
and his gun.
The Buck 197, 119.
What are we doing? Why is there going to be 6 Rambo?
I have that knife.
You have the Rambo knife?
Dude,
Have you used it to
I've only ever used it to carve
brutally
pumpkins.
wound police officers in the woods?
No, I have not.
Then you're not living in the style of John Rambo.
I'm not living up to Rambo's
All right.
legacy.
Sam, other random news stories, because why not?
Yeah, so
you want to do this next one?
So haven't you guys ever been like, man, I really wish Hunger Games was real?
I think that every day.
Now it could become real. We're doing Hunger Games, but the winner gets to stay in the United States. Everyone else has to leave. Or maybe go to a prison colony.
Well, no, they just get, one of them gets to stay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The winner gets to stay. Everyone else has to leave. This is kind of
Do you want to
insane.
explain what you mean by that?
Does it need further explanation?
Okay, the Department of Homeland Security,
Right.
the government agency,
Yes, the government.
is currently developing
Shopping around this concept.
with the producer of Duck Dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
a concept for a television series in which
Called The American. I believe.
in which immigrants to the U.S. who are currently here on a visa or a green card would compete in a series of challenges and games related to, like,
Something.
just things we associate with being American,
Sure.
which
Maybe
they
like a hot
which
dog
they
eating
say is
contest?
like trivia about the Constitution or like working at a Ford motor plant or something. I mean, if they really wanted to be true to being an American, it would be like yelling at people on Twitter and going to McDonald's. But anyway, that's besides the point. But they would compete in a series of challenges, and then the winner at the end would be deemed a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
And I guess this would now be the second way, and one of the ways in which you can become a U.S. citizen would be winning this game show.
Yeah.
It's very dystopian.
Yeah, this is very weird.
Listen,
This is very weird.
ethically,
Questionable.
Ethically-
at the very best.
I'm against this. Okay, in an ideal society,
But
in a regular society, this is awful, and I would deem
I'm
it.
not against more paths to citizenship.
I would definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Like, let's all be real. We'd all
Everyone
watch
would
it.
watch it. Yeah.
Like,
this
let's
is
be
crazy.
fair.
This is an insane idea.
We'd at
And we
least
have to
all watch
it.
the first episode.
For sure. This is definitely a better idea than Beast Games.
It's wild that this is literally being produced by the U.S. government.
So when I first heard about this, I was like, wow, this seems like kind of crazy and unethical. And then I was like, wait. I sent it. Me and Nick were talking about it. And he was like, oh, so like 90 Day Fiance. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it is 90 Day Fiance, kind of. So I guess it's really not that bad.
No, it is literally 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, but just instead of getting married, it's like I assume it's like a battle royale.
There's not 3 basic paths to citizenship. One is a complex legal process involving multiple classes and testing and all of that.
in several years and sometimes
And
decades.
years and years and years. The other one is Win Game Show, coming soon to Fox Nation. And then the third one is
Winning a different show.
winning a different
where
show
you get married to.
where you're married to a man you met online.
Yes.
What a world we live in. We will do literally anything
Oh
to
wait,
make it easier
and
to be a
paying
US
$5
citizen.
million.
Oh, or you can pay for Trump's gold card.
card. Yes.
Yes, with $5 million.
Although to my knowledge, I don't think anyone's done that yet.
I don't know if they're available.
They are available.
Are they on his website?
He showed one off.
I always showed a physical gold card.
Let me double check. Can you buy a US gold card?
Yeah, make sure we get our fact checkers on that.
Yes, wealthy foreigners can buy U.S. permanent residency and a path to citizenship through the power of the Gold Card program, which involves $5 million investment. The program, unveiled by Trump, is intended to replace existing EB-5 immigrant investor.
Okay.
Which, to my knowledge, we already had, but I believe it was $3 million. I think he just kind of upped the number. Yeah, this is weird.
What are some challenges
This is really weird. This
you
is,
would
like,
put on the
really
American
weird.
game show?
Would I make them do?
What is associated with America?
Hmm.
Apple pie, 4th of July, Blue jeans, baseball.
We could do best fireworks show. We could do.
Can you make a firework?
Can you make a fire? Well, I don't think Americans make
No,
fireworks.
the Chinese do that for us.
Obviously, we have to have some kind of shooting sport.
Oh, of course. I'm pretty sure that would be a more than one event.
RPG.
Oh,
shooting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Bazooka challenge.
How do you measure accuracy with a bazooka?
If the car is still there when the challenge is over.
Okay. Ford Motor Plants.
Free speech. I'm trying to think of like.
Yeah, what are American things? What's I think one of them would be like bacon apple pie, right?
But is apple pie an America thing?
That's like Americana, Norman Rockwell stuff.
What are things that happen in Norman Rockwell paintings?
People go to a diner.
Oh, yeah, there has to be a 1950s diner.
1950s diner.
Someone has to kayak.
Someone's in a kayak. Someone's driving a brand new automobile.
But a 1950s automobile.
A 1950s automobile.
Okay,
white
what are
picket
some
fence
things
and a
associated
dog.
with America from post 1990s?
9/11.
Okay, other than that,
I don't know. I mean, at a certain point,
SpongeBob
culture became so globalized. Like,
Yeah.
what is even
Coca-Cola?
Because like the things the U.S. makes, like everyone
it's
involved.
like the U.S.'s greatest export is its cultural exports, and so
you can't like make a movie.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, make a rap album. What does the U.S. do? What do we do?
Oh, we make. Well, are you talking about like exports wise?
I don't know. Just like what are things?
Our
we're
main
known
exports
for?
are like weapons systems and airplanes.
Okay, well they're not going to work for Lockheed Martin.
Well, why not? Who builds the bomb the fastest?
Americana culture. All right, what are some things? Cultural symbols. American football.
Yeah, okay, that's got to be.
They could play a football.
They got to play
game.
football.
Baseball.
I don't care about as much.
I mean, also that's big in like Mexico and stuff. So like,
yeah, other countries kind of like baseball.
Blue jeans. I guess they could all just be wearing them. Oh, okay. Clark Kent, Superman. Cowboy. There would be cowboy stuff.
There's got to be something.
They'd have to like be on like a bucking bronco or something.
Oh, they have to do a rodeo.
They have to do a rodeo. Hollywood, Mount Rushmore, Route 66.
Is Route 66 even big anymore?
No, but I just looked up. This is like Americana stuff. So this was like big when Americana was big in like the 60s and 50s. Statue of Liberty, tent revival.
What?
Like carnivals, fairs, stuff like that.
Right.
Thanksgiving. I guess they could try to cook a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wild
Christmas
West.
tree decorating.
And that's kind of an international thing, though.
Not really.
Fried chicken, buffalo wings. Bubblegum.
Like Christmas tree decorating started in America.
Muse, blues, country, folk, jazz, rock and roll. Cowboy hats. Yeah, I don't know. Let's ask ChatGPT.
I think rodeo, American football.
There would definitely be like do a rodeo, play American football, bake a Thanksgiving dinner.
I can think of like Texas things we could have them do.
Texas has more personality than like 80% of the U.S.
Yeah, it's too broad almost. Like different states have different things.
Like there's New York stuff.
Maybe each season is themed after a different state.
That would be kind of fun.
And then like so for the Wisconsin episode,
it's all people trying to live in like all immigrants to Wisconsin. So it's all cheese.
It'd be called True American Colorado.
Yeah.
And they have to like mine for gold.
Wisconsin season, it would be all just drinking beer, eating cheese, and rooting for the Packers.
Yeah.
And going to the broad statue of the Fonz.
Yeah, like these are things that are more culturally touchstone-y, I think.
What are some ideas for a game show
because national U.S. culture is very broad. I think it's too diverse almost in order to like narrow it down to specific things.
All right,
other than like American football and like Christmas.
ChatGPT. ChatGPT says a game show like that raises ethical, legal, and humanitarian concerns.
ChatGPT.
Shut up.
Get out of here. Ask Grok.
That will say some really concerning things about white genocide in South Africa.
True. It starts talking about South Africa.
Let's see. Immigrants share their journeys while participating in challenges. Okay, that's what I asked you to do, not. It's just pitching me shows, not games. I need like.
We could do Wipeout. It'll just be Wipeout realistically with like America themed punching gloves.
They could. I'm asking it for a specific. No, let's do that instead. Civics and Constitution trivia.
That's lame.
Lame, but like I think you'd have to do it.
You have to. No, that'll be like the ad bumpers.
Cultural cook-off. Cook a dish from their home country. No, they have to cook a dish from here.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Navigating a DMV form. That would be kind of fun.
That would be funny to watch.
I would like to watch a bunch of immigrants just have to go to the DMV.
But that doesn't make America look cool, though. That makes us look lame.
It's not about us looking cool. It's about everyone else being
no,
like...
it is about making us look cool.
No, but
the whole point of the show is to make America look cool.
It's also about like, haha, you're not from here.
Yeah, but even Americans don't like filling out DMV forms. That's not fun. That's lame.
Teams must arrange a jumbled timeline of major U.S. immigration laws.
These are so lame.
These are very lame.
Are awful.
Teams rewrite or perform a creative version of the U.S. national anthem.
No, we're not rewriting the national anthem. These are terrible
These are
ideas.
mostly just trivia. Yeah, no, I don't know. It would be hard for me to come up with, like, especially if it lasts more than one season.
Football's a lock. Turkey cook-off is a lock.
Yeah.
I think the rest you just got to go state by state.
Yeah, you could kind of think, like, go to California.
Do
a gold rush.
Yeah.
Do like an old Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Texas, you do a rodeo. You do.
Yeah.
North Dakota. A barbecue cook-off.
North Dakota, you wonder why you're in North Dakota.
North Dakota, you talk funny and ice fish.
Michigan, you get robbed in Detroit. I don't know.
You get robbed. All your copper wire goes missing in your house. All right.
Props to you, Detroit. Love you. Never been there. Never will.
No, all my friends that have been there don't like it.
No one there likes Detroit. All right. Anyway, Sam, you want to talk about Andor for a minute?
Let's talk about Andor.
Season 2 just wrapped up.
Is Star Wars ever going to produce something of this quality ever again? Is it even possible?
Almost certainly no.
Did we genuinely witness peak Star Wars?
Before we do this, let's do we're just gonna do spoilers for this whole conversation. It's been out for a week. If you were interested in the show, you've been watching it.
You already watched it. If you haven't watched it,
get on that loser.
But do it. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, you asked if Star Wars is ever gonna be this good again. I can't say like fully that it won't because the show exists.
That is true.
But
nothing else that they're working on has as much potential to reach this bar of quality.
The circumstances that led to this show being greenlit, like, aren't going to come up again. Like, this show was, like, I believe the first Star Wars Disney Plus show that entered development. Now, the version of it that
as a TV show,
the version of it that came out was a completely different take.
Yeah,
but in terms of like. At the time when the show was greenlit, Disney was launching Disney Plus, and they were just like, if it's a Star Wars thing,
we're doing it.
We're going to spend $300 million on it, and you can make 5 12-episode seasons, whatever.
Yeah.
And now the market has shifted so much into where like we're very specific in particular.
We're very picky with
and
what
if
we
it's
do.
not performing, it's going to get canceled after a week, and that is just the way it is. So the circumstances that led to the show, because this show, no one watches this. It doesn't get good ratings. The first season didn't. Second season.
Well, it gets good ratings quality-wise. It does not get a lot of views.
No. Yeah. Critically, it's beloved. But in terms of like actual viewership, season 1 never got that high at all. I don't even think it made the Nielsen charts. Season 2, we'll find out next week how the first 3 episodes did. But my guess is they won't be that high. Although I would think the audience...
I have seen a lot more talk
I do think the audience for season 2 is bigger.
Because the word of mouth has spread since the first season.
But it's still nowhere near the justification for the amount of money the show costs.
Oh, no.
Because between the 2 seasons, the show costs like over $600 million.
And you can tell.
Oh, 100%.
It looks fantastic.
It looks incredible. And so in terms of like, can this ever be this good again? Tony Gilroy came in as a guy who was not a fan of Star Wars, but very much wanted to tell a story about revolution and fascism and hope and war.
And he picked the perfect period of time in the perfect franchise to make that story really work.
And
really
he has an interest in history of researching revolutions and rebellions. And he just brought all that knowledge with him because that was just something that interested in him.
Yeah.
He wasn't even planning on doing anything with it until the show came along. I think the problem that the other Star Wars shows that they develop outside of Andor is that the people that come to it as a Star Wars project first.
Yeah.
and this show was the other way around, where this was a show about revolution and fascism
that we are telling
that we are wrapping
Wars.
in a Star Wars skin, as opposed to like they show up and they're like, what's a Star Wars thing you want to do? We could do some Jedis and they run around in the forest. Like it's
and like we did get a tiny bit of some of the themes they're exploring here in Rebels, but not nearly as well and not nearly to the depth that this one really goes into.
The writing in this show is not even just good for Star Wars or just good for like TV today.
It's just good.
It's just good for all time television. No, this show is like truly, and with the because this show went into creative turnaround twice.
Yeah,
like this show should not be as good as it is because it was originally a different writer, and apparently what it was going to be was. It was just like K2SO and Cassian Andor
doing a heist.
Just do a heist, and every week they go on an adventure, and it was basically The Mandalorian.
No, the original pitch was Rebels.
Pretty much.
It was Rebels season 1, but with Andor instead of the Rebels crew.
Yeah. And then Tony Gilroy read it and was like, this is fine, but you can't do this every week. Like, this is going to run out of steam by episode 4.
My biggest problem with Rebels is that they did that every week.
And so what he did is he wrote them an email that was like, basically, you should do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
It should be about rebellion, and you should have this different angles on it, and it should lead to this, and it should just be like, let's take Cassian, let's break him down, let's start him off at square one, and let's build him into this rebel hero, right? For lack of a better word at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then they were like, and that was just him just being like offering free advice. Like he literally just sent that email as being like, yeah, you should just do that. And they were like, Tony, do you want to just write the show? And he was like, yeah, I'll just do the show. And then he did the first season, and then he was like, because then it was supposed to be a 5-season show.
Yeah.
And it was going to be 5 years, every season a year. And then they were like, okay, well, this is taking forever. If we do that, I'll be dead, finish. And Diego Luna will be 50. And we can't, so that's not going to work. So we'll do 2 seasons. And so that's when they did this second season as 4 chunks each year.
And I actually really like that format.
And some people are a little iffy on the 3 episodes at a time. And I get it because it was a lot to be like, I got to sit down on a Tuesday night and basically watch a 3-hour movie every week.
Yeah.
But in terms of the fact that they were kind of squeezed into that structure, but the story of it still works as well as it does,
is really impressive.
Is incredibly impressive. Like, I cannot believe they pulled it off.
I actually really like that every year we see 3 episodes because I think it keeps the pacing very tight and it makes every episode really, really impactful.
Yeah, well, there's no point where we're just dragging our feet, just like, okay, we're just sitting around waiting for something to happen.
The only episode I would say that isn't very strong is the first episode.
Were you not a fan of Cassian hanging out in the woods?
Yeah, I think we spent way too much time of Cassian doing nothing in the woods with a bunch of homeless guys.
It was
that should have taken 10 minutes, 15 minutes max.
The concept of like, at this point, there's like small little rebel sects that don't even know they're associated with each other, and that
makes sense.
Complete idiots. But that was fine. That was good. That's nice world building. That's this kind of stuff Andor always does well.
Yeah.
I can understand why it going on for like the majority of that whole arc was a little
too much
rating. I love the opening scene.
I think the opening scene is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
One to start.
I think the best of all the Star Wars shows. No, I think the Mandalorian opening. Better.
No, I think this is like way better.
Where he goes in and he kills that guy at the bar. That was so cool.
No. Because season 1 starts very small. It starts with them killing 2 cops, and then that spirals over the course of the season.
Spirals out of control, yeah.
This one it starts both quiet and bombastic because you get that great moment with like the Imperial inspection woman who's a rebel spy who's working for Luthen.
And there's that really good speech there.
And he gives her that great speech, and there's so much layered into that. Like, I was watching that because I was like, oh, I can't wait for Andor to come out.
Narratively, it's a way better scene.
Well, no, like, I'm waiting for Andor to come out, and that's how it starts. And immediately you're just hit with, like, the depths of that monologue of where it's like, he is all at once, he is both telling the truth in that, like, this is the right thing to do, this is the higher calling. this is what our lives are for, is for this rebellion.
Yeah.
And I love that line where he's like, it's coming home to yourself. Like all of that is true.
Yeah.
While also he is trying to get this woman to almost guarantee kill herself.
Yeah. I mean, everyone in the rebellion is almost
as soon as he escapes with the TIE fighter, they're going to find her and they will kill her.
Yeah.
Like, he is convincing this girl to give up her own life to complete his mission of stealing a TIE fighter for
someone.
A reason we never even find out.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a mission, and she is just a pawn that has to be sent out in order for the mission to be completed. All of that at once, and just like the depth of that writing and the strength of that monologue. And Diego Luna is really good in this show. And then immediately after that, you're here with that great action scene where the TIE fighter breaks out of the wall and you get the chase. In the ravine. All of that was so good. And the production design in the show is spectacular. It's so good. And then by the time you get to Gorman and you get the costumes and how they make such great use of that obviously like limited space of they have like 2
of that
sets,
plaza,
but they still make it feel grandiose and have the necessary scale. Like, all of it was just like, oh,
so
real
good.
TV.
So good.
Like, amazing TV. And the whole thing is just littered with great performances. Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma is She's good.
So good as Mon Mothma.
What a talent to just luck into. This actress that was cast in a deleted scene for Revenge of the Sith.
Episode 3, yeah.
Who then it kind of pops up in Rogue One for like a minute as like a fun, oh, look, it's Mon Mothma.
Look, she's here, yeah.
And then you just kind of have to use her in this. And
she's phenomenal.
And she's phenomenal. And the stuff they have her do in this, where it's like
you're
really asking her to do a lot, especially in the wedding arc, which I also really loved.
And she was so good in.
Like, it's amazing to me that Tony Gilroy...
Like, that felt more like early Game of Thrones than like it did Star Wars.
That was the kind of stuff where it's like, Tony Gilroy, he doesn't care about Star Wars lore, but he's also not directly like fighting against it.
Yeah.
And he's interested in the world building. He's that stuff is still important to him.
Well, we say he's not interested, but like at the same time, the statue, the Sindrillan Temple statue that they mentioned, the Eternal Rakatan Empire. That's stuff from like I don't have time to get into the lore of that statement being made in a canon thing, but that canonizes so many things.
Well, he has a writer's room.
Yeah.
And then they have a guy whose job is just to be the lore guy.
Yeah.
And Tony Gilroy, if he needs to know, like, how does something work? Have you done this before? What's the history with this? He just sends him an email and he just, like, fills him in. So, like, it's not that the show completely exists without any continuity to anything else.
Yeah.
It's just the stuff he's interested in is the world building. Like, and that is by far my favorite stuff in the show. Yeah. Is like, okay, where do they go to buy groceries? Like, this is the first time we've seen a Star Wars bodega, or like someone drink coffee, or like what?
Well, no, they drank coffee in the Clone Wars TV movie when Obi-Wan was doing his negotiations with that one separatist general.
But it's like that, or like Deirdre mentions like the Imperial Kinderblock. Yeah, like what does education look like in this universe?
Although that is canonically a bit confusing. The Empire
timeline-wise,
the Empire only rules for like 25 years, and she's like
30-something.
30-something.
It's fine. That stuff, it's weird. Like all Star Wars media treats the reign of the Empire as like 50 years. In reality, it was only 20.
I'm gonna assume maybe she was in like a Republic.
Sure.
Orphanage.
And then it became
it just became an Imperial thing. Yeah. That's my headcanon for why.
But it's stuff like that. It's like seeing Star Wars apartments.
Yeah.
And like at one point Cassian's like cooking and he uses like this weird like convection oven microwave thing. And it's all just like, that is the stuff that Star Wars has desperately been missing.
And they get all the look and feel of all the Star Wars technology down really well, which is really like It's like 1940s and 30s
switches and buttons and dials. Yeah. That's what makes Star Wars technology fun. It's not all holograms.
It does all the modern stuff, but it switches knobs.
It's a bunch of guys. It's like, open the door, and a guy has to flip 6 switches and open a little case and press a big red button.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. That's what makes Star Wars technology fun. But going back to the wedding, it's just like, yeah, Mon Mothma's from this alien world. What do their wedding ceremonies look like? Because it wouldn't look like an Earth wedding ceremony.
Now, do they just
like an Attack of the Clones?
Was it just like a Chinese wedding? Kinda. Yeah,
kind of,
basically.
but it's something. It's like
it was clearly inspired.
It gives you a sense of like there is a culture on this planet
that exists outside
of everything else. Like all of these little places. Gorman has its
Gorman as well. Yeah,
Gorman is like
it's like a pinnacle of fashion.
It's like France in like the 1880s or whatever, or like the early 1900s. It's like, even if it's obviously pulling from a direct inspiration of like a historical event or a real place in Earth, it's like it's taking it, it's flipping it around, and it's presenting it in a way where it doesn't just feel like every other Star Wars location or event or character. Like they invented an entire
language
version of the French dialect for the people on Gorman, which even if you watch the episodes, they only speak it like a couple times. But they went to that depth. They knew it was necessary for you to believe that this was a place,
real authentic culture,
and that it was being destroyed by the Empire. They were like, we need to just have that little nugget where they have where they have their own language.
You have to establish a culture in order to break it.
Yeah, in order for you to understand
the totality of destroying that.
What the Imperial occupation really affects and looks like. And honestly, I think my favorite scene in this whole show, and there's like so many examples, like there's so many I could pick from, is I love the scene in the first three, which has like with Krennic coming back and when they're in the boardroom. And
Krennic is so good.
And we can talk about like what would I guess technically be considered glup crappos, but like they're not really.
Yeah, because they kind of have to be there for the story to work.
But what I love about that scene is it's just a bunch of absolutely evil to the core, despicable human beings.
Yeah.
Just sitting in a room, figuring out how they're going to genocide a populace in order to get one resource.
And the way they talk about it is like so... It's like a Tuesday.
It's so eerie because it's so mundane. Like it's a corporate retreat where they're like eating muffins and just like, well, we gotta propagandize the populace to think there's a rebellion.
We gotta create a radical insurgents so we can use to destabilize the government,
and then show up with a bunch of money. And then I love the payoff of that in the Gorman Massacre episode, where they're just like, this is taking too long. Just start shooting them.
Just kill them.
Just kill them all.
Just kill them.
The mining ships are going to get there in an hour.
Just do it.
We just got to get started. Yeah. We're behind schedule. It's just the way the Empire functions in this and the perspective in which we view it from our particular characters. It all works.
Yeah.
Like, and it really...
And it crescendos beautifully.
And it crescendos, and the payoff is amazing for everyone. Like, all of our characters... including Krennic, who's in this, who we know what happens to him in Rogue One.
Yeah.
All of them are these like rats of human beings who are just scratching and eating and tearing whoever apart they need to tear apart.
To get higher
and higher and higher and get more and more tiny little bits of power. And in the end, as soon as they're no longer useful for the machine, they're all immediately tossed out.
Immediately.
Because that is how fascistic empires work.
Yeah.
Is... if you're not benefiting the three people in charge,
then you are not.
They'll throw you in the dumpster and they will just move another guy in because you are not a human being to them.
You're a tool.
You're a guy in a suit who can be replaced. And
because for Deidre, she's subservient to the ISB officer guy. She gets probably the worst ending maybe for any Star Wars character ever.
What I love about her too is like, it's not that she has like this massive change of heart or like sees the ill of her ways.
No, she fully is committed to the last second.
The thing that gets her arrested is that she looked at the wrong emails. She looked at emails she wasn't supposed to and didn't report them. And so she's sent to prison forever to die.
Yeah.
Like that is it. That's all it takes.
She is crushed by the machine that she built.
And then her commanding officer, the old guy whose name I don't remember at the moment.
Yeah.
But even him, he's like, he doesn't even really do anything wrong. He just knows that he'll be roped into it. And so he's just like, better off myself before they catch me. Just like, because he knows. Like, and then, because like the only Imperial officer we see who like ends the show
is
in a position of power is Krennic. And we
know how his
we know in Rogue One that Tarkin's going to show up, go, good job, Krennic. I did all of this and you're going to go to this planet. And get disintegrated.
And then what happens to Grand Moff Tarkin immediately after that.
It blows up on the Death Star.
He gets blown up.
Yeah.
Nobody in the Empire has a happy ending.
No. And
except maybe Darth Vader. Arguably, maybe the only guy with a sort of optimistic
but he's
ending.
the one who gets the moment of redemption.
Yeah.
Who defies the Imperial
Empire
machine
in the last second.
and has a second of individualism.
Yeah.
That ends up saving his soul, I guess. But everyone else in this, I mean, with Cyril Karn, honestly, one of the greatest characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
One of the best
in terms
television
of, like,
characters.
Thematic.
Amazing performance. Yeah. That moment, that fight with him and Cassian during the Gorman episode, incredible. That moment where it's building and building and building from his character's point of view to this like confrontation between the two that's lasted since season 1,
or at least he thinks.
And what Cyril, because Cyril simultaneously blames Cassian for his entire life being thrown off course.
Yeah.
While also is growing
increasingly skeptical of the Empire.
Well, what I love is that, and I think Tony Gilroy said this in an interview, that character could be in literally any show or movie.
Probably, yeah.
Because you could very well see that character in The Office.
He's just a guy.
Well, that archetype. He's just a guy. He's a guy trying to do the right thing. The problem is the world he lives in is so messed up.
That doing the right thing is...
He has been convinced the right thing is actually the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that moment where he realizes, like...
Maybe I've been doing the wrong thing.
Well, that they've been using him. And that specifically Deirdre's been using him, where it's like, what was he even going to get out of that?
Yeah.
He invested years in this thing that ended in the genocide of a bunch of people who he knew personally.
Who he kind of liked. Yeah.
And, I mean, what was he going to get? Like a good, like a pat on the back and a good job, buddy, and all right, go back to the office now.
Go back to Coruscant.
Like, what is it? Like, the fact...
How do you live with that?
And then that tears him down, and then you get that great scene where he's just wandering around aimless.
Sort of...
Because who is he now?
Really kind of unfolding the totality of what he's been a part of.
And then he just kind of goes back to factory default, where it's just like...
As soon as he sees
Cassian, he's just like, all right, well, I have nothing else.
He can't break... all he has left is this...
Yeah, is to try to kill this guy.
Fragment of a past life.
And then Cassian's like, obviously Cassian wouldn't remember that guy.
No, because he's been through so much stuff.
He's killed probably 100 people since he met him.
Yeah.
Like, he has no idea who that is. He was just a dude in a kind of suit. Like, I love... And then Cassian... And then he wins. Like, Cyril wins that fight. And then just another dude offs him.
Yeah.
And Cassian just goes, I don't know what that was.
Right,
I'm moving on.
That was weird. Anyway.
Like, it's incredible. Like, every little character gets this arc, and it all works. And even like back to the canon stuff, like, it all fits.
Yeah.
Like, the Mon Mothma episode, which I really love that episode. I think that's the closest this ever got to like Jason Bourne, straight up.
So good. And it leads right into the Rebels arc.
Exactly.
Well.
Like, it doesn't even like contradict it. He's just like, all right, I got to figure out a way to make it work because it's happened in an animated thing. It's fine. Cassian's not going to watch.
Well, because they don't. She does not escape in Rebels.
No, they pick her up from the ship.
They pick her up. Yeah.
And we see how she got there, and I love that moment where what's the general's name?
Luthen?
No, for the rebellion.
Oh,
Angry General guy.
The Mon Calamari one? Oh, Drevin.
General Drevin. Yeah. General Drevin's like, you want to watch her speech? The speech she gives the rebels. He's like, I've seen her talk. It just goes home.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. He's like, I was there. I saw it on Imperial C-SPAN.
Yeah.
Like, all that. Like, all of that. Like, he still finds a way to make it work. And the most Star Wars-y like thing that happens in the show is when the Force Healer shows up.
But I think even then
even that works.
They do it so well.
Because it's not just like we need to include the Force thing. Like, it serves two central purposes. One is it sets Andor off, and then it's like, one, I love that moment where he like is freaked out by the fact that he kind of knows she's right.
Mm-hmm.
Where he is like this Forrest Gump.
Because he's very skeptical.
Well, and it's kind of the same thing. It's a conversation he kind of has with Luthen, where it's like, he's like Star Wars Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
He just kind of ends up like exactly where
he needs to be
all these
the
important events seem to be happening. On Gorman, he's on Yavin before it's the Rebel base. Like, he's there on Aldhani and on Ferrix. Like, he's just kind of always ends up right at the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
And I love that moment where the Force healer is talking to him, and she's kind of like terrified of that. She's like, "You have some
very
higher calling
role to play,"
and that terrifies him because to him, he's always just been
a lucky guy.
He's just a soldier. He's there to do his job, and he lives for the rebellion, and that's it. And that scene sets off
and then especially when she's like, "You're a messenger. Like you're meant to,"
which yes, that is what he dies doing in Rogue One is delivering a message. Like to get that all to tie together. And then on top of that, that is the inciting incident for Bix to leave, where that's like, that is the
because
best.
She's like, I know I'm
because that's when,
back now.
That's when it truly sets in for her. Like he is so important to this thing that if I stay, he cannot serve that purpose. And the best way I can fight the Empire
is by leaving
to leave
right now. Yeah.
Like that's all so good. And like, I love that they didn't kill her.
I like how they treat the Force healer almost kind of almost like a spiritualist new age hippie person.
It goes back to the A New Hope depiction of the Force, where it's like
it's kind of a fringe religion.
It's like the thing like three weirdos do.
Yeah,
where they're all like talking about like the ancient mystic arts they're a part of, but everyone else is just in a boardroom, just being like, "Freak, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
We have guns. Like what
the Force, dude? What the
that's
heck
not
is
doing
that?
anything.
That ain't real.
We gotta get on this planet.
And now again, in canon, Cassian would have probably been alive for the Jedi.
But you even think about it, like how many Jedi were there and how many planets were there? What is the likelihood that an average person would have even seen a Jedi in their life? It's like next to none.
Yeah, well, that and then increasingly, the Empire is a terrifying machine of propaganda. They would have made sure to do their due diligence and drown out any positive feelings.
I'm sure they were like,
around.
If you see someone using the Force, report them and kill them immediately.
Yeah,
like they're a witch who needs to be removed.
Yeah,
all of that. Like even the way he works the Force in, it's so much better than.
So much more interesting.
It's so interesting.
Almost every other Star Wars show
really
does.
And then the end of the show is incredible. I love.
And just like Rogue One, it goes
right
into it.
And Tony Gilroy has talked a lot about like the three women, or like the four women left behind, and even the show, right, which leads directly into Rogue One, where we know exactly where this is going, and it's got this kind of breakneck pace to it. Like we have to get here like as fast as possible.
Yeah,
but with this episode, and this is a story. From Cassian's point of view, that ends not involving the other characters we've seen.
Yeah.
Because none of the characters from Andor are in Rogue One except for Mon Mothma.
And that one guy.
And his buddy who lives with him.
Yeah.
His soldier buddy. But even then, like...
And Pow.
This show...
Pow is there.
Pow is there. The show itself ends so conclusively on its own note because you get that great scene where... Andor and I forget her name, but Mon Mothma's sister, the other rebel.
She worked with Luthen.
Yeah, who worked for Luthen.
Also,
you get that great scene where they're just drinking to all their fallen comrades you've seen throughout the show. Like even then, you get like this show itself feels complete.
Yeah, you could
because of that scene.
You could not have built towards that moment any other way.
Because we get these two characters who've survived all of this, and this is not the end of either of their stories, but
also
it still feels conclusive.
Does every pacifist female ruler of a planet have an angry redheaded sister who does war crimes?
That is a fun coincidence because there's no way in a million years that anyone who wrote on the show knows about that character.
No, except for maybe the one lore guy.
Except for the lore guy,
yeah.
That's it.
Because for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Queen of Mandalore and Obi-Wan's sort of ex-girlfriend, her sister was part of the what were they? The Death Watch.
Death Watch.
Who were like a bunch of
Mandalorian terrorists.
Mandalorian like radical extremists. She I guess now is the queen.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I could talk about this show all day.
Yeah.
Like really, like there's not a part of it that I don't think I could talk at length for like 40 minutes because it's all so good and it's so dense. And it treats the audience like they're capable
of understanding the show.
Understanding something that's not directly hitting them in the face. There
is subtext.
There is subtext. There's layers to the characters, and there's stuff that we don't see and that we never will see, and that's good.
And all the stuff with Saw Gerrera.
I love. It's not like a very serious thing, but I love that scene in the finale where he's calling Mon Mothma, and she's like,
I love how he just calls her.
I love
the
idea that he just calls her like every other
and
week.
they're like, what do you want? He's like, you're stupid.
And he's just like yelling,
you're bad at your job.
Yeah, he's just yelling at her, but it's like she's his only friend.
Yeah.
So he has no one else to talk. But I love the part where she's like, Saw, we know you're on Jeddah. Everyone knows you're on Jeddah. And he's like, no, you don't know that.
You don't. And he is. That's where he is.
Well, and I love that part. I love that, like, retroactively in Rogue One where they're like, Saw Gerrera's on Jeddah, you gotta go talk to him. Like, he kept doing like the nuh-uh bit, and they're like, just go to Jeddah. Everyone knows he's there.
That's where he is.
But I love that. I love that scene. He's so good. He pops in this very
another actor that they just like
lucked into.
Crazy lucked into.
Yeah, Whitaker. Like amazing. That scene, that monologue that he gives
and also
where they're huffing the gas.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you're here right now. We're doing terrorism.
The revolution is not for the sane.
Yeah. We're nuts.
Crazy.
We're doing insane war stuff, and we're gonna die and not see the positive result.
Yeah.
That is our life. I love all of that.
Now
That's
get
so
high
good.
on these gas.
Now get high on these fumes, pick up a gun, and go blow some stuff up.
Yeah. And like, as a character, what an interesting path like Saw Gerrera has.
Yeah.
Trained by Anakin Skywalker as a terrorist against the separatist monarch.
Occupation.
Yeah. Who then sees the Republic that he helped defend turn into the very thing he was trained to defeat.
Mm-hmm.
That radicalizes him further, sending him down an insane warpath that eventually gets him blown up by the Death Star. Like, what a cool concept for a character. And what that is, to me at least, one of the positive Filoniisms. Because that is a Dave Filoni character where it's like, look, it's this guy. Mm-hmm. This guy that shows up this one time. He's going to be in a bunch of stuff now. But he's such an interesting character.
Well, and he's not there for no reason.
No, it's very clear what his role in the story is.
He's there to compare and contrast to Luthen.
Yeah.
Who is equally nuts, but just has different methods.
Yeah, and just like speaks in a more sophisticated manner.
And just to touch back on him, I think his role in the season is a little bit lesser.
But that's because the revolution is growing beyond him at this point.
But every scene he's in, you could still feel his impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like his presence is felt throughout the show, even when he's not on screen. And that the 10th episode of the final batch, the one where it's just him and Cinta?
Clea.
Yeah, Clea is his assistant. Where it's just him and her. And I love their dynamic, and Tony always come out and said this in interviews, like, she hates him.
Yeah.
Like, it's obvious, like,
kind of a bad guy.
We don't know exactly what he did, but he took part in some sort of, extermination of her people.
He did do some kind of genocide of her.
But he saved her
planet.
He saved her, and taught her how to be a rebel.
What is it? A deserted, whatever.
Whatever operation.
I
don't know if it was the Empire or just another insurgent group or something. But
now we do know, because of Bad Batch, that the Empire did work with like random insurgents groups, like in the immediate aftermath following the Galactic Civil War, because we see they send Crosshair to like try and get Saw Gerrera to join their team, and he just kind of goes no. But we do know that that was at least a strategy that they were using.
But I love that, and like then you learn from that episode, like, she's the driving force. Like, he has connections. He's got like the dual personality wig thing going on the front.
But it's for her.
But like, she's the one fighting the war for a cause, like for a reason, for a personal reason. Just all that's so good. And another world building thing, it's like, what does a hospital look like in Star Wars? We've literally never seen that.
Yeah, we've seen back to tanks.
Star Wars has been around for 50 years. We've never seen what a hospital looks like until the show.
It was the I believe it was the Lena, is it Lena So? It's named after the Chancellor of the Republic during the
from the High Republic. Yeah, I heard that.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Anyway, this show's great. Oh, that scene where Deirdre shows up at his shop.
Also the ET alien.
Tension. There's a kind of ET looking alien.
That's the girl versions of ETs.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's all fun and games. Slightly more aliens this season. None of the main characters, all of them in the background. Because very clearly no one making this has any interest in the aliens.
Yeah. Which I do think does a slight disservice to the rebellion specifically.
They're there at Yavin, but none of them are doing anything all that important.
Another big part of the Empire was that they were a human supremacist
and that is
empire.
Something that no Star Wars stuff really ever brings up.
Yeah, it's only brought up in like comics and stuff. And like if you're, I guess, paying attention more to the background of Star Wars, you see that more clearly with the rebellion having a bunch of different unified species and things, and the Empire being almost entirely comprised of human characters, save for like a couple Inquisitors. That is a more evident fact about the Empire, but I do think that they could have used maybe guys, but also the budget for the show already
astronomically high.
I understand why that's a little bit out of their range here.
No, but I love that there's that episode where Mon Mothma's trying to get several senators to vote for her bill. And
even the one from Gorman won't do it.
I love that like that is when he threw the aliens and he was like, sure, she can talk to a frog man. It's fine. that's when the aliens guy. But yeah, no. Yeah, I could talk about the show forever. It's great. Like genuinely, it's amazing. Like it's amazing outside of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's genuinely
you
powerful
watch this
storytelling.
without. I don't think you need to watch any Star Wars stuff to watch this.
No, but you will feel driven to watch Rogue One when you finish it,
and then you will be driven to watch Episode 4,
and then you'll be like, Rogue One's not as good as this show because it is not, but you will still enjoy it.
And Episode 4 brings in a lot of different. The themes are very. It still has a lot to say, but the themes are very different.
I did the Rogue One rewatch, and I was like, it's
not as strong.
It's not a super strong movie,
but
it's hurt by the fact that Felicity Jones is the lead.
It probably would have been better as a 3-episode arc in Andor.
I agree.
Because we would have been able to flesh out all those other guys who are on their squad that we know basically nothing about.
Yeah. But no, I can't recommend the show enough. Like it's so good. I wish Severance season 2 was not going to eat all of the Emmys this year.
Yeah, because this one does.
Because this definitely deserves it, at least on like the writing front. Because truly a masterclass, and like the ultimate, not even just for Star Wars, but just for like the era we're in, where everything's IP now. And like, if you want to get a show made, it has to have some IP attached to it.
This is the best way to do it.
This is like you can still do compelling
original in another
important stories with IP casing,
an IP bow on top. Yeah, really good stuff.
Can't praise Andor enough. I
highly recommend.
So sad it's over.
Yeah, this could be peak Star Wars.
It is peak.
Maybe we'll see more something along the same vein.
I would so like them to take a risk. Like I really do. I want them to bring in someone who has a genuine like something to say.
Yeah.
I think more important than just like that's a cool Star Wars idea, or we haven't tried that or done something like that.
Ahsoka season 4.
Like I want them to really have a take on a topic that you want to use this to explore.
Yeah.
Because I think you can. Like, I really think Star Wars has so many facets to it. Like, I think you could. There's the good and evil. There's the religion stuff with the Jedi and the Sith, and
I will say something I do find interesting, given this show,
and crime
is the role of Grand Admiral Thrawn. I think the fact that more or less he escaped the downsides of the Empire. He kind of, in a way, outsmarted the Empire.
Who?
Thrawn? Yeah, because like he was in very like taking him and contrasting him with the other ISB officers, he would have fit right in.
Yeah.
Now he would have been like running circles around
smarter than them. Yeah.
But he would have fit right in with that crowd. In fact,
Well, he is operating.
The fact that he wasn't at least in the room of the Death Star meeting, I assume he would have been aware of.
Well, he was gone.
He's always gone. That's
no.
The thing he's best at is not being in the room when important things.
No. Because the Rebels finale takes place before Episode 4.
Yes,
and that's when he lights
the meeting on Gorman was in.
Oh, you're talking about that meeting?
Yes. He should have been there for that.
I don't think so, because I think that was like the Gorman people, the propaganda people, and then like the Death Star Special Projects people.
But I'm assuming he would have been on the Death Star Special Projects list.
I don't think so. I think it's in Rebels and in the books and stuff that he wasn't involved in that.
No, because he helped deliver the Kyber crystal. Remember in Rebels they steal that giant Kyber crystal and Ezra pretends to be Jabba the Hutt?
I don't remember.
Rebels has some weird arcs. But anyway, the way that he kind of like escapes the rat race of the Empire almost and kind of like...
Well, unintentionally.
Unintentionally, of course. But like, yeah, he kind of like... Through a combination of him being smarter than everyone in the Empire at the time and then just kind of accidentally getting yeeted out of space, he did kind of evade all the downsides.
Oh, I wanted to say one last thing. The final shot of Bix with Cassian's son.
Bad year to be the child of a background character of Star Wars.
Best Star Wars character looks out at a horizon homage since A New Hope.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Way more earned than Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But even then, like,
more.
that scene has impact for more than one reason. It's like, it's so... Because it's the sunrise he'll never see.
Mm-hmm.
It's the life he will never get to live.
He never gets to live.
Because I love that we didn't come back to his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people were speculating, like, is this Predator's sister? Is this going to come back? I love that is just a part of his life he'll never get to truly have catharsis on. Because I love the idea that, like, that would be his life if there was no cause. Yeah. If there was no fight that needed to be won.
He would have done that.
He would have found his sister. But that final shot, you get the sunrise he'll never see, and then you get the parallel to Rogue One, where Cassian dies
looking at
the explosion coming out,
on the
which
horizon,
looks like a sunrise.
So good.
Good show, man. Good show.
And yeah, bad year to be the offspring of a Star Wars side character. Cad Bane.
For those of you who didn't watch Tales of the Underworld,
which I think is all of you, because I think I'm the only one that did.
I did.
Probably.
Paying like half attention to it, but I did watch it.
It was pretty good. The Cad Bane one I think was much more interesting than the Ventress one.
Yeah. All right. That's Andor talk, or AKA.
The only other news story I had was that Bungie stole the art style of an entire game and got caught red-handed.
Bungie did?
Yeah.
Bungie is making video games?
Bungie is making a game called Marathon, which is a looter shooter.
Of course. The only video game you're allowed to make.
And there is an artist on Twitter, goes by Anti-Real, but it's with a bunch of like numbers and stuff. I don't know exactly what the characters for their handle are, but if you go and you click the link there, they put together a thread where you can see just blatantly, they were straight up copying and pasting designs from their art without hiring them and without permission into assets on their games, and it seems to have more or less informed the art style of the whole game. I saw the trailer for Marathon when it first came out. The art style does look cool. And yeah, they, as far as I can tell, basically ripped the whole thing off of this guy's art, or this girl's art. Yeah, it's really screwed up. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's the only other news story I had.
Well, unless you want to talk about the real life news story that Joe Biden prostate cancer.
Now, that seems a bit beyond the scope of our show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week to talk about how Lilo and Stitch made $1 bagillion.
Because it will soon do that.
Because it will. And also, The Last of Us finale is this week.
And Possible.
And Mission Possible. And the studio finale is this week as well. A bunch of TV finales this week. But we'll be back to talk about things again. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.